I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 68 of Tales from Godric's Hollow. The world's most emotionally driven Harry Potter podcast. Guaranteed. I am one of your hosts. I am the broken muggle of the show. I am the man who's going to try not to cry on this episode as much as last week, but I guarantee there will be 40% more tears this week than last. I am Josh Brown. I am joined, as always, by the man who prevented much spoilers from happening, Professor Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh.
Boy, oh boy, here we are.
We are. Made it.
We have officially closed the book on Book 5, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. We are done with this book. We finished off the last 3 chapters of this horrible, awful, ridiculous, no good book. We're done. I wish we could say we ended on a high note. We did not.
Not so much. Not so much.
This week's reading, Matt, was difficult. It was excruciating. It was physically, mentally, and emotionally trying. Last week, I dreaded doing last week's episode because I was still in shock from the death of Sirius Black. I got through the episode, barely. Still not sure how I did it. I hoped that this week would be easier. About 3 words into this week's reading, I said, nope, this is going to suck from beginning to end. And it was not fun to read. It was not fun to try to take notes. It was not fun to think about, to absorb, to reflect on. Everything about it was just awful. And having to record tonight's episode is going to be tough. Because the pain and heartbreak is spread out over all 3 chapters, it might be a little bit easier than like building up to like the part last week where Sirius died and it's like, oh, now we have to go through all that again. This week we just get to like just lull it over for 3 chapters and, spread it out a little bit, and maybe it will be less heartbreaking, less sad for me, easier for you to co-host, because I was an emotional wreck last week.
It's true.
But I don't know, Matt.
Well, only one way to find out.
Guess we have to do this show. We have to do that episode. I'm just saying I'm not looking forward to it.
It's what the people want, though.
Do they really want this episode, though?
I think they do.
I feel like we could go back and like just redo an episode from earlier on that was a lot more fun and energetic. People might get a kick out of that. A little throwback Thursday action for you.
As hard as last week's episode was,
yeah,
the people definitely enjoyed it. I mean, not like, oh, look at Josh suffer enjoyed it, but they are very thankful that you put it out there.
Well, I'm putting it out there again tonight, folks. Let's just toss that out there right now. Also, the finish of this book, the end of this book, means that I am now able to finally watch the film Harry Potter and Order of the Phoenix.
Very true.
I go into these films now with tempered expectations. I know
Probably
better.
for the best.
Yeah. But I still look forward to seeing the movies, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been optimistic going into all the movies. And at least excited that I finally get to see the visual representation of the awesome book that I just got done reading, that I had so much fun reading. I can honestly say there's very little of me that's excited to watch this movie. Going back to Goblet of Fire, knowing the death of Cedric was happening.
Okay.
I braced myself for it because I didn't know how it was going to play out, and it was so quick and sudden, but like still sucked and blah 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 blah. I was able to like toughen up right before it happened, right?
Sure.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for this movie. Unless like the movie just like skips over the fact of like this entire end of the book. Like that'd be cool. Like the movie just ends with Fred and George bouncing out of Hogwarts. Boom. Roll credits. Best movie
be a
ever.
good end. Yeah.
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 I'm worried that they're not going to do that though. So, watching the film is going to be tough. Also, I have to like visually endure Dumbridge now. And
it's true. You haven't met her in person.
No, Matt. Her voice has been a thing of contention throughout this entire book. And I'm really frightened that that will be like the new voice of my nightmares. So there's a lot of things going against me in this film. Regardless, I do finally get to see it. And just like last movie, where I did a live tweet extravaganza while watching the movie, I'm going to do it again this movie. Because I need support while doing this. I need you guys to watch it along with me, to let me express some emotions live via Twitter at Tales from GH. So I'm inviting everybody, and we will post this on all the other platforms as well. Wednesday night, that's the night of the release of this episode, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I will, and that's approximately within a couple minutes.
Follow us on Twitter and you'll find out when it is actually starting.
I mean, kids are unpredictable. Sometimes, like choke on spaghetti or something. You never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
6:30-ish. Planned for 6:30. We'll be watching the movie, and I'll be live tweeting it from the Tales from Godric's Hollow Twitter account. And it'll be a lot of fun. I mean, up until it gets really awful. And I'll just be using nothing but emojis at that point.
At a loss for words.
Pretty much. So, join us. We'll have fun. We'll watch a movie. We'll get it done, and I'll see everything kind of play out. Relive it all the awfulness so soon afterwards. Man, that's gonna suck, Matt. Yeah, Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Be there, folks. I feel like there's something else that we need to talk about before we get started with like giveaways, and then we probably got a Muggle poll to talk about. Then we'll just go straight to emails and call it a show.
Right.
Yeah. Twitter. I want to talk about Twitter real quick.
That was the thing that you did.
That was a thing that I did. I did the Twitter thing. Last night, after completing Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the last 3 chapters of this book, the 5th book in the series.
Yep.
I was decompressing. It was late night. Everybody had gone to bed at that point. I was decompressing. I was actually in the middle of making a birthday cake.
Okay.
I had the TV on in the background. I wasn't really watching anything in particular, nothing of interest. But I was just like, you know what? I need to tell J.K. Rowling exactly how I'm feeling right now. You know, like 11:30, 12 o'clock is not a good time to usually get therapy from friends or friends of friends or associates or, you know. I knew you were possibly up, but I also don't try to go to you with my Harry Potter problems because you're just going to tell me, wait till the show and we'll work it out together. So I was like, I don't know who to talk to about what I'm feeling right now. Like, there's nobody up that I know. I'm just going to go to Twitter and just throw this out there.
Yeah.
I knew some people would see it, some people that followed me. But I didn't want to put it out there just as a general statement to the people that followed me. I wanted to make a statement to J.K. Rowling herself and let her know that as a 33-year-old who's reading and just completed Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix for the very first time in his life, that I was absolutely 100% broken. I was devastated. I was emotionally broken.
Yeah.
And I needed her to know what I was feeling. Even if she was never going to read it, ever going to even come across her feed. Because I imagine that lady gets more mentions a day than she would ever want in a lifetime.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. It's like I don't doubt that she might read them all, give them all a glance.
Sure.
But there's no way she would ever have enough time in the world to like reply to all of them.
Yeah. Or even she doesn't even have enough time to go through and favorite them all.
Sure.
You know? But I just put it out there in the universe. I was like, you know what? Maybe there's a chance that she'll see this. And maybe she'll smile. Maybe she'll take a second or two to reflect on the injustices that she caused 15 years ago when she wrote this book. Or however long ago it was. I don't know. I don't know what I was going for, but I needed to feel like it was directed towards her for the small, very rare chance that she would even see it.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, hey, just finished Order of the Phoenix for the first time. I'm broken. How am I supposed to continue this story? Because right now, I don't want to touch a book ever again. I'm Half-Blood Prince is up next, and the last thing I want to do is just keep going down this road. I want to turn around and go home. Just help me figure this out, JK, basically. How am I supposed to cope with this, you know? And I tweeted it, put my phone down, went back to making my cake. I was like, there, done. I feel better. I feel like I put myself out there. If anything, somebody will read it, and they'll say, wow, that guy is just heartbroken right now. Yeah, I was heartbroken. I went back to making my cake, Matt.
Yeah?
Yep. Nice standard vanilla butter cake. With
It wasn't your famous butterbeer cake?
Not butterbeer, just vanilla butter cake.
Okay.
Fairly dense, not light and spongy. It was a little bit more of a dense cake. You know, change of seasons. It's getting a little bit chilly. You gotta extra carbs, man. Carb up. with a simple buttercream frosting. It's for my 12-year-old boy. It was in the shape of a football. He's really getting into football. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Then my watch goes off. We'll look at it. Because, I get notifications for emails and tweets and texts and anything else under the sun. Facebook messages and everything.
Yeah. Anything you can get on your phone.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there working on this buttercream frosting. I pick up my watch and flip it up to see what the notification is. Lo and behold, it's a reply to a tweet that I put out in the ether to J.K. Rowling. The reply was from J.K. Rowling.
Yes, it was.
Almost dropped the cake. Buttercream might have flown across the kitchen at some points. I had a hard time actually believing what I was seeing.
Sure.
I was like, wait, did she just favorite that? Wait, is someone else replying and somehow they got looped it? No, that's... Okay, hold on. I stopped what I was doing. I had to go wash my hands. I had to calmly go over to the living room, pick up my phone, open it up, drop my phone. I was like, wow, what just happened? J.K. Rowling responded to me, Matt.
Yep. And you are now the envy of millions of fans.
I can honestly tell you that was not my first thought. My first thought was, I don't know if I trust this woman right now. First, she consoled me. She said, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Warmed my heart a little bit. I was like, you know what? I believe her. I believe that she's sorry. And she said, keep going. And... ... It all gets better. Period. Eventually. Period. That is not a statement that screams... what's the word I'm looking for? Positivity.
Uh-huh.
It does not scream assurance in my feelings.
Anytime you insert into your tweet when you're limited to 140 characters, yeah.
Saying when you're talking is like a bad habit, but it also indicates that the person speaking is trying to find the right words.
Sure.
Right? Their mouth is moving a little bit faster than their brain is. Happens to the best of us. As a professional writer who has limited characters to use and even more limited amount of time to type out said limited characters, using the word is not a good thing.
Does not instill confidence.
The eventually is what hurts the most.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because anything that you really want to happen could and might and probably will happen eventually. I can't even say with any certainty that the eventually means by the end of the series, Matt. Maybe that eventually hasn't happened for anybody yet.
I don't know about that.
I don't.
That's
I don't
a little
know.
bit of a stretch.
Well, because I don't know, Matt. I haven't read the books.
I know.
I'm just looking at it like, well, I mean, she put out, Cursed Child. I don't know what that's about. But, like, what else is, like, what if, like, the good times come a rolling eventually is like, yeah, when I get around to it type of eventually. I don't know where she's stopped. I don't know where the story is at currently in the real world. I just know where I'm at in my own world. And right now, it's bleak and dark and scary and frightening, and I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. So, do I believe J.K. Rowling? I mean, I kind of have to. But she didn't really make me feel good about it either, you know?
Yeah, I know.
So that happened. And I was just like, wow. Can't believe she responded to me. I need to reply back, I think. I think that's like the polite thing to do. Like, I need to let her know that I acknowledge what she says and that I will, take it for what it's worth and do my best. So I replied back and I put my phone down. And I was sitting there, I was like, I need to go back to my cake now. So I went back to my cake, started to go back to my cake, and I was like, nope. It's like midnight now. It's like 2 a.m. Central Time. Matt's probably up right now. So as I was thinking about going to text you, I saw a notification on my watch saying that you had favorited the tweet. I was like, oh, he's totally up. Cool. I'm going to text him. And so I got that. Texted you. Freaked out a little bit. I also kind of ran upstairs to go tell Val. She was just starting to fall asleep. Like, she was in that I'm 3 seconds away from falling asleep, but I'll really wake up if you need me to type of sleep stage. I've thought about waking her up. I'm like, I can wait till morning. Like, it's a big deal, but it's not that big of a deal. So I ran back downstairs. Kept texting you. Within a couple minutes of us starting to text, you threw out the, maybe you shouldn't check your mentions. Maybe you shouldn't check the replies to your tweet.
Yep.
You mentioned that there were some spoilery type things going on.
Most definitely.
Or potential.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And like you pointed out, it wasn't malicious. But, I guess in my head, I would have only expected people to respond that followed both myself and J.K. Rowling, which would probably be people that listen to this show. Like, those would be the only people interacting with this interaction.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not how JK's fan base works.
Comes to find out that she has a lot of people that hang on every single one of her tweets, regardless if it's just a general tweet or a reply to a fan.
Yep.
They eat it up.
When you have nearly 13 million followers, there's a good chunk of them that just are waiting for you to tweet anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm starting to put pieces together as I'm texting you. Like, my phone vibrating the entire time. Just one long, constant vibration.
I can only imagine.
Because for my personal account, let's just throw this out there. I'm not the biggest deal in the world. I could get by with keeping notifications on for likes and replies on my Twitter account. I like to know when people are engaging with me. I quickly had to go in and disable notifications because it was getting a little out of hand, Matt.
Just a little bit, yeah.
By the time you went to bed, because at that point I was banned from Twitter, and I had already disabled notifications, so I had no reason to ever even open the app. I could see the number of mentions that I was getting, but I couldn't see the actual mention. I wasn't getting what people were saying. Just that little red bubble was increasing steadily. And that was just for the mentions. I don't even know what was going on the like side.
Exactly.
But when you went to bed, you're just like, this is crazy. There's just so much interaction going on, we'll check in the morning and see how it's going. So I'm like, okay, cool. I stayed up for a couple more hours. Just I needed to emotionally decompress, and I just kept watching that number just go up and up and up and up and up. I'm like, oh, this is bad.
What did you do?
I honestly did not expect that.
Yeah, honestly, I've never had any experience with anyone, even semi-famous retweeting or replying that type of stuff to me where I would see this type of response.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've never been in that situation. I've heard people talk about it or post about it or different types of things, but it's just I can only imagine what your phone was doing or what it would have been doing if you left all the notifications on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to our friend Jason today about it, and like he was just blown away. He's like, "Did she retweet that? Is that why you got so many likes and replies?" I said, "No.
Nope.
I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so. She didn't immediately. All she did was reply. That's all she did."
Yeah.
And it's still going on, Matt.
I know that I've been watching it while we're recording here. The numbers are still going up.
I can't touch Twitter. I don't even know what. Okay, so you've been able to watch this tweet.
Yeah.
You've been able to see what's going on. I don't even know how many people from our community has seen it or interacted with it. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't even go into any other accounts because I'm deathly afraid of like seeing something I shouldn't see, just by accident.
Yep.
So like, I guess I need to ask you, like, other than like the random spoilery stuff, which, some people want to be trolls, I suppose, but other people, most of the people, I would assume, just don't know what's going on with me, with us, with this show, with what we're trying to do here. Yeah. So you can't fault them for it.
Yeah, exactly. I think most people are assuming that tomorrow you're going to pick up book 6 and read all the way through that.
Yeah, or that I already started and
yeah. They don't realize that you're doing this in a podcast. They don't realize you're doing 2 chapters a week. They don't realize you have a movie in between. They don't realize that they might be spoiling something. Because like we've discussed many times already, like this is not something 20 years... It's something that's 20 years old, so people aren't concerned about spoiling it for people.
Right.
They assume 90% of the population has already read this. They're not worried about it. The other 10% doesn't care.
Right.
And
also, like, something that we've talked about many times is Harry Potter fans are just excited to talk about Harry Potter.
Definitely.
So like any opportunity to talk about like a new angle on the Harry Potter series, like here's this grown man who's reading it for the first time. Cool. Let's all talk about it.
Yep.
Like there's excitement. But yeah, I completely, I've learned that about, Harry Potter fans from the moment we started this podcast. Like it is a fan base like I've never seen before.
And this is why like we've basically banned you from attending Harry Potter events.
I know.
That aren't directly related to the podcast.
So,
yeah.
I can't imagine people are being malicious or anything like that. People are being
I don't think they are.
Excited, and her fans like to talk to her about Harry Potter, which I'm sure...
Absolutely.
There's part of her that's probably just like tired of it. So I need to ask you, because... who knows when I'll be able to ever look at these.
Sure.
What's, other than the spoiler stuff, which you can't tell me or won't tell me, like, what's the overall basis of responses that is happening on this? Why do I have over 400 notifications on my Twitter account? Like, what is going on with all of that?
So... like I say, you're just looking at the notifications. Mm-hmm. I mean, the likes are just completely out of hand.
Yeah.
Like JK's reply to you is now in 5 figures.
Oh God.
for likes. It's ridiculous. So I'm glad you turned those notifications off.
Is that does she get that number for like everything that she tweets?
I haven't looked recently. I think she does get up there usually.
Okay.
I mean, it might not be every.
Sure.
So I mean, she tweets, can tweet about a lot of like political stuff and stuff like that too. And there's different numbers. They're kind of all over the board. So it's, is it Harry Potter related or not? And is it, who knows?
Sure.
But for her stuff to reach 5 figures, not uncommon. Does everything reach 5 figures? No.
Okay.
And unfortunately, like, as to like what people are replying about, like I still can't get too specific about it. I feel like it's a lot of people like trying.
How much of it is towards me and how much of it is towards her? Like, am I just an afterthought in the whole thing?
No, there are some people who are replying directly to you. Some people reply directly to your tweet after reading hers.
Okay.
There's some people reply to her tweet, but they're definitely talking to you. There's people that agree with JK. There's people that disagree with JK. It's all over the board. And then there's people that's like, this is why I agree with you. This is what you should look out for coming up. It's just really all over the board.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
It really didn't help me at all.
Yeah. I like I said, I can't. And then you get people who throw the gifts in there, like from it's one from Frozen, where so you
let it go.
No. It's when that right after Olaf is singing about summer.
Okay.
and shoot, what's the guy's name? Kristoff?
Sven the reindeer?
Sven's okay, yeah, sorry, not the reindeer.
Okay, Kristoff.
Yes. He's like he's looking over at Olaf, he's like, I'm gonna tell him.
Oh, man.
That might be one of my favorites.
How much interaction have you seen from people in our community that you like recognize?
Just going through these tweets, not a lot because they know better, I guess. I have gotten a lot of interaction, whether it be from DMs or emails or just other forms of communication, mostly about people being worried about spoilers and such. Actually, no, we did have a good conversation about it in our Slack chat in the room requirement, and as to what was going on and what we're doing about it and that type of thing. But
sure,
yeah.
And that's why I made the Instagram post, because as far as I know, I'm not banned from Instagram. And I know, like,
not yet.
Yeah, like you like doubled down on the please don't check your replies like statement this morning, which meant that like probably got worse overnight.
It did.
So because of that, I was like, man, I don't want like our community who is invested in my journey through this more than anybody else to worry that this one thing is going to ruin the integrity of the show. And that's why I put the Instagram post up, like, to reassure people that, like, you caught it immediately. Also, like, I wasn't on my phone during the, like, as it started to pick up because, again, I was making a birthday cake in the middle of the night because that's what people do sometimes.
In Washington, I guess. Okay.
Well, I mean, also, it was helping relieve some stress and, like, the emotional after effect. Like, I just got done reading the book, like, an hour and a half ago. You know? Like, I was still coming down from that. Also, I had a birthday party tonight, and I had to work today, so the cake had to get done eventually.
Yeah.
So, like, it was the perfect storm of events of, like, me actually being away from my phone, my hands being busy with something else, like, messy to the point where I would have had to, like, clean myself up to even touch my phone, and you being up, which kind of worked out well because you said that you were kind of sick this week, so, like, there was a chance you might not have been up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I was honestly about ready to head to bed when it happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to be good. I should probably stay up for this.
So, like, any other time, I would have been excited. Like, if I was on the couch just watching a movie or something, like, I would have been excited. I would have been engaged. I would have been paying attention to what was happening. Because, again, I wasn't expecting her fan base to come into this interaction between us.
Yeah.
So, everything worked out well. I feel really good about everything, other than the fact that I may be banned from Twitter for the next year or so. Or my own personal Twitter account, I guess I should say.
I have a feeling it'll die down soon enough.
I could never... Matt, the numbers are still going up right now.
I know.
As we talk.
I know.
Over 24 hours later.
It's not over 24 hours yet.
It feels like it, Matt. It's been a long day. When's the last time you went all day without talking to Twitter?
It's been a little while. I've done it.
Man, I can't even brag about the fact that I have a viral tweet because I'm not allowed to actually tweet. Do you know how stupid that is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that happened. I mainly wanted to bring it up on the show. I'm not, like, I'm not trying to brag. Like, it's a really cool thing. It's, like, an honor that she replied to me. Like, I feel incredibly special.
As you should, because like I said, there are a lot of jealous people out there right now.
Yeah. I guess I used the right combination of words that caught her attention. And, so I don't know. I guess it's important to me that the people that listen to this show know that, like, this little small weird win for me is a win for you guys, the community. Is you guys have been there from day one, propping me up and getting me to this point. So if there's, like, any weird jealousy or anything in the community, just, like, I want everybody to feel like they were part of this because you guys made this happen. Harry Potter's special, man.
Yeah, definitely.
With that being said,
yeah,
let's give a whole bunch of free stuff away all night and not talk about the reading.
I don't know if I have that much stuff to give away. Sorry. But I can delay it a little bit longer.
I could bottle my tears, Matt, and give those away.
Sell them as memories?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about a few thank yous?
Okay, let's do thank yous. Wait,
all right.
Thank yous?
I have two thank yous I want to throw out there.
Okay.
I got, one package I mentioned I got last week.
Yes.
Cheesehead?
Yes.
I'm sorry I keep bringing it up, but mystery solved.
Ooh, the culprit came forward, huh?
Yes. Need to thank our headmistress. Marissa.
Sneaky.
Thank you. Yeah.
She was like number 4 on my list of suspects.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Makes sense. She's a fan of football, I know. So.
Right. And then your starting quarterback goes and gets hurt for the rest of the season. Like, I'm not saying it's a coincidence.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Anyway, second thank you goes out to Rihanna.
Yes, absolutely. Double.
Yes, I believe. Yeah, you got a similar package. That has these great handmade Harry Potter ornaments.
Yeah, made from actual pages of books of Harry Potter.
Yes,
which is really cool.
I'll definitely be taking some pictures, I think, and we'll post those in the show notes and such. But thank you, Rihanna. It's very thoughtful. Very much enjoyed it.
even more thoughtful is the fact that she went through the effort to make sure that she didn't send me any that had any potential spoilers on them.
She did mention that to me.
Yeah.
Well, let me know. It's like I think she said something about like checking them 5 times
Yeah.
to make sure there were no spoilers on there.
Yep.
So yes, good job.
Yeah. Thank you so much for those. That was a nice, very unexpected thing in the mail. So
Always appreciated.
mm-hmm, definitely.
With that being said, though,
yeah, you guys are the best. Just overall.
I think we can go ahead and give away something.
Let's do it, Matt. Last week, I asked people to send in emails, talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com, with favorite memories of Sirius Black.
Indeed.
In hindsight, maybe not the best idea. I'm glad I didn't have to read through all of the entries, Matt.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. What were the people writing in for a chance to win?
We're going after the Funko Mystery Mini Thestral.
That's right. That cool little dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember what I said about not being excited about the movies?
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about the movies for.
Awesome.
Thestrals,
I approve.
Grop, I hope. I don't know. That could be completely left out for all I know. All the weird little creatures that I like to see.
Yeah.
There we go. So we have to pick a winner.
Yes.
Um,
Let's see. This week, I think same numbers last week, possibly 17.
Let's go with 6.
6.
Because we are on the fast track to starting book number 6.
All right.
The book which we do not have serious about.
Number 6 gives us Ashley Nemeth.
Congratulations, Ashley.
Which we're going to have some interesting emails later on from just about the entirety of the Nemeth clan, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's exciting.
I'm looking forward to it now more than ever. Congratulations, Ashley. What was Ashley's favorite Sirius Black memory?
Says my favorite Sirius moment was him singing Christmas carols like God Rest Ye Merry Hippogriff.
I'm so glad that she picked a happy one. I was bracing myself for like a tearjerker of a memory.
Yeah. To be honest, I think about 50% of them at least went for 2 memories.
That one,
and you could probably pick the other one.
I don't know. My head's a fog.
When Sirius invited Harry to come and live with him.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't want to relive that. That was sad. Now more than ever.
Well, it's sad now. It wasn't back then. It's the best thing ever back then.
It was sad that he couldn't go. I mean, it was emotional. It wasn't sad back then. It was still emotional back then. Now it's emotional and sad.
Fair enough.
For many different reasons. God. Anyway, thank you to everybody that wrote in and responded to that and tried to win that little mini Thestral. Stick around for the end of the show. We'll do another giveaway. If we make it to the end of the show.
We'll make it. One way or another.
Okay. Drag me along, Matt. Just
all right.
Drag my limp, emotional body through this podcast. I guess let's get into the reading.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Chapter 36. The only one he ever feared.
Dumbledore chapter.
So, I think I did write down one name here. And it's one that I questioned a little bit, but it's such a, basically a throwaway character for now.
Mm-hmm.
that it's like, I'm not even going to bother looking up if I've written him down before. So there's a guy by the name of Williamson.
Was he one of the Death Eaters?
Shoot, I must have been.
Because it was like when Dumbledore had him wrapped up, like the whole group of them, right? Maybe? I don't know. It's a blur, Matt.
Was it with Fudge?
Oh, I don't know.
I'd have to look it up again. In any case, don't worry about it.
Can you tell that I'm super worried about it right now?
Yeah. I hear it in your voice. Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 36. So the title of the chapter, bells rang in my head that this was going to be about Dumbledore, because, it has been said many a times that Dumbledore is the only one that Voldy ever feared.
Yep, you got it. I'm glad you caught that.
Yep. I mean, you kind of you imprinted that into my memory forever. There
are certain phrases like that after reading these enough times and watching the movies enough times, I mean, okay, it's an odd phrase, well, a fairly odd phrase that you're not gonna like hear in everyday conversation. Mm-hmm. So when you do hear it, you're automatically gonna connect it to Harry Potter,
right?
But it is one of those that's used enough, that's strong enough that it's just one of those we repeat.
Yeah. Yep. Kind of like the Blake.
But he has his mother's eyes?
No, that's not what I was thinking. Kill the Spare.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. See, I went way darker than
You did. Guess that's where your mind's at.
Yeah. Starting this chapter, I wasn't ready. Okay. I was ready to be done with this book. I wasn't ready for what we had to go through to get to the end of this book. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, it did not help at all that Val is going through something with her friend that's like incredibly emotional and like emotionally draining, and was busy with that all weekend. So by the time we got to reading this, she hadn't fully decompressed from everything that she was dealing with, and that definitely rolled into this reading of these chapters. So she was probably tearing up and crying a little bit more than she would have been.
I was going to say, it probably worked well from a dramatic standpoint, but probably not the best thing for Val.
No, and not the best thing for me either, Matt.
Sure.
This is about me right now. Last week I was saying how, like, her voice started to crack, like, seconds before she, like, read the part about Sirius dying. So I at least, like, had that cue to, like, brace myself. Whereas this time, it was, like, just 3 chapters worth of, like, her voice breaking and, like, trying to, like, keep it all in. And I was just like, I don't even know what's happening. Is she, like, indicating that something awful is going to happen? Or it's just, like, the whole thing just, coming to a complete collapse, And that was, like, emotionally draining because I didn't know if I needed to be on edge for something more awful to happen, or it was just like the emotional release of the whole thing. Turns out it was just the emotional release of the whole thing. Everything was just bad, awful.
Yeah.
It was described that like Lupin's voice was breaking.
Yep.
As he was like telling Harry like and holding him back, and I was like, that was like a paragraph in to this chapter.
Well, yeah, because we were still in the same room that we were last. Like, the fight wasn't over. The battle was still going on. We were still in the exact same place. It was that what I would consider a really bad commercial break when they put a movie on TV. And like, we're in the middle of this battle, and it's like, want to go to McDonald's?
Yeah, fade out.
Wait a minute. It was a rough cut, and then we jumped right back into it.
Having to sit it out a week, though, I kind of hope that like we would have like a little fast forward, you know, and suddenly everybody's back at the hospital wing mending their woons.
No, played out.
Yeah, we're right back into that. Just right off.
Yeah, there's too much that still needed to happen. Like Dumbledore and the Order just showed up, and Bellatrix was still there. They weren't done yet.
Nothing else needed to happen, Matt. Enough had happened. Yeah. So last week I was talking about how Sirius getting killed was one thing, but like Lupin holding Harry back during the whole thing was like devastating. So now I'm reliving that as like Lupin's voice is breaking because like he just lost his best friend and he's still trying to be the mentor, the adult guidance that Harry Potter needs at that time. Like he's doing his best to be strong, to be the Rock, and that's hard for him because he hasn't even emotionally processed what just happened, you know?
Yeah.
So I just started breaking down. I'm like, that would suck. Like having to be strong for somebody else who's like just losing it right now, and you not even being able to process it, because as much as Sirius meant to Harry in his couple years that he knew him, like you have to like just completely multiply that by so much to know what Sirius meant to Lupin after all these years.
Yep.
I was just like, this is going to be a rough few chapters if I can't even like get through this first paragraph without just having a breakdown. And like Neville asking about Sirius, like asking Harry if he was his friend or something like.
And it was another one of those moments where I didn't put all the pieces together. Like we've been following Harry's story. We've been in Harry's brain. He's known this for years now. Really.
Yeah.
Like he learned this back when we first met Sirius, really.
Yeah.
And so Harry knew this. He's told Ron and Hermione. They've known this forever. Everybody in the Order knew this. Like it wasn't a big secret anymore. So when Neville asked about it, it's like, oh, you didn't know.
Yeah.
And then you have to start expanding. And it's like no one outside of the Order actually knows.
Right. Yeah, in your head, it's just common knowledge that that's Harry's godfather. It's like, no. Nobody even knows that Sirius Black is, like, anywhere near anybody.
Not a bad guy.
Yeah, people still think that he killed 13 people.
Exactly. As far as Neville knew, yeah, he was still a mass murderer, and all of a sudden he comes in and starts fighting the Death Eaters. Like, wait, what?
So it's like that was, like, grounding right there. Like, oh, yeah, like, this is a big event to a few people.
Yep.
But not everybody, and there's so much, collateral damage going on here that, it was just a mess of a scene. Speaking of messes, hot mess, Bellatrix Lestrange. Boy, she's awful. She's an awful person, Matt.
She is.
She's not good at all. And she was taunting Harry.
She's very good at it.
Yeah. Harry tried to fight back. He did the Cruciatus curse on her.
Tried, at least, yeah.
Tried. I mean, it hit her. It's not like he missed with it.
Yeah.
It just didn't do anything.
Yes. Something came out of his wand and it hit her. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like the equivalent of saying like the silvery wisp that came out of his wands were an actual Patronus charm. It's like,
Sure.
yeah, sort of.
That's probably a good comparison.
Yeah. Didn't even phase her. Just, she's like, whatever. Stop tickling me.
Exactly. That tickled. Yeah, do that again.
Yeah. So that's, she explained that like he needs to really mean it. Like to do it properly, you have to want to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
You can't just do it on a whim to try to stun somebody or
there's other spells for that.
Yeah. This spell is meant to be done with the intent, maliciousness to do it on purpose with hate and
causing serious pain.
Yeah. Like, and it felt like it wasn't even like just wanting to cause serious pain, but like if you were going to enjoy causing the serious pain,
sure,
like you need to get some pleasure out of it.
Yeah, that mentality would definitely help.
So that's just awful because that says a lot about her and how she's using it, and I guess it also says a lot about the fake Moody at that point.
It makes you wonder.
Like, he was really trying to hurt that bug, wasn't he?
I mean, at the same time, it may be a little bit different for a creature as opposed to a human.
Maybe.
But still, he had no problem executing any of the unforgivable curses.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a little more sense when we find out later that it was a Death Eater, but
still. Yeah. So Harry's he realizes that he may not have the firepower at that point in time to properly duel with Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yep.
She just kills Sirius. And she's pretty ruthless about it. So he goes a different route, which I appreciate, and like tries to the mental warfare aspect.
Yeah.
Try to get inside of her head.
Yep.
He pulled a Hermione.
Yes.
Which seemed to be working,
it was definitely getting to her.
Yeah. And then the unexpected happened, Matt.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was unexpected for everybody. It was unexpected for me because I'm pretty sure we spent the entire last episode talking about how ridiculous it would be that Voldy would ever be in the department or the Ministry of Magic.
Yes.
It's just unfathomable.
There's no reason he would ever show up.
No.
Why would he ruin his cover? Yep.
I took all of that as gospel. I said, yeah,
sure.
100%. That makes sense. Never going to go there.
Yep.
He's not here in this battle. Why would he be there? So for him to be there, Matt, that was a lot to handle.
I believe it.
Yeah. He tries the killing curse.
He loves it.
What really disturbs me about it, though, and it definitely upset me when he used it on Cedric, but he throws it around like it's no big deal. Like, he uses it like everybody else uses Lumos, right? Like it's just a thing that he does.
Yes, and so I think I've mentioned this before, at least off the air, that not everybody, but most wizards or a lot of the major wizards that we know kind of hone in on one particular spell. It kind of becomes their spell, kind of what they're known for.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this to you in particular when we were talking about like the Lego Harry Potter games.
Right.
And like Harry, one of his default button attacks is his Patronus.
Yes.
Because that's kind of been his thing. That's become his thing. It's what he really excels at that
Sure.
a lot of other people aren't that good at necessarily.
Kind of defines him as a wizard.
Yep. And the same thing in that same game, if you put Voldemort in there and play as him, it might even be the same button that you would use the Patronus for Harry.
Mm-hmm.
That button becomes Avada Kedavra,
right,
for Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just kind of his thing. It's his spell. It's
just unnerving that he's so thoughtless about it. You know, like even seeing like Bellatrix use the Cruciatus curse, like there's like some passion behind it, and like she's like really putting effort into it, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's like the enjoyment behind it, but like there's emotional response from her when she does it in several different aspects. But like Voldy just says it, like he just throws it out there with a straight face. Like there's no emotion behind it at all. And I think like that's the worst part, is there's nothing. It's just, that's just it. Like, you're dead, done. I'm not even like, you're not even worth my time to even think about.
Yeah.
That's what makes him a good bad guy.
So, just to clarify one thing, I think I've heard you say this a couple of times, actually.
Okay.
Who killed Cedric?
Voldy did, right? No. Yes? No.
No.
Peter.
There you go.
He told Peter to do it.
Because he said kill the spare. He wouldn't say kill the spare and then do it himself.
Because he wasn't formed yet. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did, however, use Voldemort's wand,
Yeah.
and that's why Cedric came out during the whole Prior Incantatum thing.
You're right. Okay. Fair enough.
But
in my head, Peter's not even there. It's just Voldy just taking care of business. Done.
talking to himself.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I guess that does make sense, but yeah.
Yeah.
Still, there was no emotion behind the order to kill.
Sure.
Yeah. Thankfully, as the title of the chapter alluded to, Dumbledore's here to fight.
Yes.
He's not here to talk things out.
Well, that's questionable.
Sure. If he could have, he probably would have.
He's definitely doing a lot of talking while he was fighting.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate Dumbledore being here.
Yes.
I even more so appreciate one thing I've liked forever, and like I think it's funny, is Harry's ability to say Voldy's name without blinking, and everybody else freaking out about it consistently.
Yep.
Dumbledore takes that ability to just say Voldy's name without blinking and one-ups it, and he just straight up calls him Tom.
He does.
Like, that's the most demeaning thing I think that you could say to Voldy. Just calling him Tom.
Yep.
Like, the Dark Lord Voldemort does not ever want to be referred to as Tom. Tom does not strike fear into the hearts of millions.
And that's exactly why he changed his name. But you go back to it, and Tom Riddle was one of Dumbledore's students.
Right.
He taught him for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he knows him. He knows him as Tom. It's I should have a good example of this, but I don't off the top of my head. But it's one of those things that, when someone gets famous, and sometimes they do change their name, or just and they go back then and talk to old friends, and it's like they refer to them as such and such, and it's like, well, that's how I knew them. That's who they are to me. Right. They're just a normal person. They're my friend. And I'm not saying that Tom was his friend necessarily, but it's just from his past. That's like probably we don't know how many interactions they've actually had.
Yeah.
Since he's taken on the name of Lord Voldemort.
Right. But even when Dumbledore has talked about him to other people, he still refers to him as Voldemort. But talking directly to him, he's just like, nah, you're Tom. You will always be Tom. Stop acting stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just such a demeaning, he's just kicking the chair out from underneath him type of move. And it's something that only Dumbledore would be able to pull off. Because he just does it with just the utmost confidence. Because to him, he is just Tom. He's like, you're being dumb, you're killing all these people, but you're still the stupid little kid that I taught. Stop being dumb.
Yeah.
Love Dumbledore. I don't trust him, but I love him.
That's a start.
Fox gets messed up. Thank goodness for the Phoenix.
What you see, and that starts to make me wonder, can he even be killed?
I don't know.
He just swallowed the killing curse.
Yeah,
and it just basically reincarnated him.
In old Looney Tunes cartoons, when a chicken would get shot with a shotgun or something, they'd lose all their feathers, and there'd be this little tiny little bird with little tiny bird wings, and that's the only thing I was thinking about with this whole thing.
That's pretty much what's in my head too. Yeah,
the most cartoonish dramatization of what happened with Fox. It just cracks me up.
Just sitting there in a pile of ashes, yeah.
Some singed hairs maybe coming off of him, oh, Fox being Fox. What an interesting battle, just overall.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts that I usually forget about is Dumbledore's tactic. He doesn't just straight up fight on his own. He makes use of his surroundings.
Yeah.
And he animates these statues, which I find fascinating because it doesn't fully seem like he necessarily is controlling them.
Sure.
They seem to be more sentient than that.
Yeah.
And and then one of the kind of over the top moments at the end, which really makes me hope that he isn't controlling them fully, is that the statues applaud.
Yeah.
At the end, I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I hope you're not making them do that. That's no.
Although it's not out of the realm of possibility for Dumbledore to do that.
It's true. I could see him doing it, but it feels like it's pushing it a little bit far.
Yeah.
But the fact that he knows there's so much he wanted to do. He wanted to hold Harry at bay. He wanted to trap Bellatrix. He wanted to take care of Voldemort. He couldn't do it all. He only has two hands. He only has one wand.
Yeah.
There's only so much he can do.
Half a Fox left. Yeah.
Yep. So he put the statues to work.
I appreciate the statues coming back into purpose.
Yeah.
There was a reason it was pointed out every time we walked by him.
Yeah. Yep.
So I appreciate that. Yeah. Just this definitely wasn't an end all be all battle. This was just we need to save Harry. We need to end this night. We need to all regroup, and we need to figure out where we go from here.
Yeah.
Dumbledore did not go in there with the intention of killing Tom.
No. That's more or less I mean, Tom would have been okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other part was like, which it was confusing. I had to like think about it after a little bit. But basically, the snake was Harry, sorta, and they were. It got complicated real quickly.
Yeah. So this particular snake that like Voldemort conjured up, I don't think had anything to do with Harry. He sent it to attack to attack Dumbledore. Dumbledore, changed it into a puff of smoke and did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's after that when Voldemort seemed to like disappear.
Yeah.
Is when he actually like possessed Harry.
Okay.
So Voldemort physically possessed Harry. And what we would find out in I think more so in the next chapter when Dumbledore is talking about it is he was trying to goad Dumbledore into doing his work for him.
Yes. Yeah.
He wanted him to kill Harry for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm possessing him. I'm going to kill him. Unless you do it, then you kill us both. But yeah, that's what he was going after.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't work.
Obviously.
But
worth a try, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then after like the dust settled, it just went back to the realization, the really harsh, really difficult realization that Sirius was gone. And just every little mention of it was pulling at the heartstrings a little bit more. It was tough because like that adrenaline was starting to wear down, and it's like now we have to deal with the aftermath, and the aftermath of this sucks. Silver lining,
yeah,
to all of this, to Tom being dumb and being there in the first place, is that finally everyone can and will know that he is in fact back.
Yes, thankfully Fudge showed up in time.
Yeah. There was really no avoiding the truth at this point. I'm sure it was hard for Fudge to tuck his tail between his legs and, like, admit that he might have been wrong.
And honestly, though, if Fudge had showed up alone, I think he still might have tried to pass it off.
Yeah.
But since he was there with a group of Aurors,
unbiased witnesses.
Yeah. It's like, there are too many people that saw it.
Yep. So, silver lining to this whole awful chapter. Also, Portus, we learned Portus is the charm used to create port keys?
It is. I think we've heard that before.
Have we? Okay. I don't... It's been a while since we reviewed our spells, so...
Yep.
Yeah. But the chapter ended on a high note. He basically pulled a Fred George and just took over the room. Dumbledore did.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking my job back. I'm taking my positions back. I'm taking my school back. You're going to do this and this and this, and I'm out.
Yep. There's nothing you can say about it. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah. Man, that guy has style, doesn't he?
He does.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about in that chapter? Because we still had to like deal with like the death of Sirius, and that still was stinging the whole way through.
Yeah. No, that's good for that one.
Okay. Because the next one gets harder.
I imagine.
Yeah.
His name gets brought up a lot.
Yeah, a lot of things get brought up. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go to the Muggle poll, which I know nothing about because, banned from Twitter. But apparently you put it up on our Twitter accounts, at Tales from GH over on Twitter. Do this every week on the night of our recording, usually about 4 p.m. Pacific time. Some sort of question that you fabricate to coincide with the reading for the week. You said it would fit nicely at the end of this chapter. So what in the world did you want to know from the people this week, Matt?
I had to dig a little bit for this question. I was running out of good options, so kind of dark, but would you ever consider using the Cruciatus Curse on another person? And I did manage to pull out 4 options. I know it sounds like a yes or no question, but your options are yes, possibly, no, never, or only on Bellatrix.
And I'm going to say, because I know our community quite well at this point, that nobody has the amount of hatred in their heart to actually pull off this curse effectively. So I'm guessing 100% of the people said nope, never.
You would be wrong.
Alex, I told you can't do that curse.
We have a fairly good spread across the board, actually.
Okay.
Thankfully, no one with 40%.
Okay. That is good, I guess.
Yeah. But we had 31% at possibly, 20% only on Bellatrix, but a surprising number. I knew we were going to get a few.
Sure.
But we got 9% with yes.
And thank you to the Slytherin for chiming in on this week's Muggle poll.
They're out there.
Interesting. Matt, would you ever use it?
No.
I just don't think I could, I would never want to hurt any, I can't imagine having that kind of hatred in my heart to pull it off.
I would much rather default to, like I said, there are so many other spells out there.
Yeah.
Like, just stunning or petrifying or whatever the case may be.
Turning them into giant slugs.
that wasn't completely intentional, I don't think. But like I said, was talking about last week with taking umbrage into the forest. My was thing, take her to Grop, he'll cause a distraction, we can get away. I'm not about the whole pain and torture type of thing.
Yeah.
And there's other ways around it.
Sure. And I would just be worried that if you got that taste of power, that it would lead you down a path you may not want to go down. You pull it off effectively, you're like, wow, I could actually do that. Huh.
Yeah, what is it? Fear leads to hate leads to anger. Yeah.
Anger leads to change your name from Tom to Voldy. And here we are. We have a whole story written about you. Cool. Thank you to everybody that participated on that one. I wish I could vote, but I can't, so I won't.
Especially since the poll is closed.
Even more reason for me not to vote. Let's go on to chapter 38. The Second War begins. All right. Happiest chapter this week.
Let's try that again.
Don't make me do this.
Chapter 37. The Lost Prophecy. We have no new characters.
I couldn't care about a new character if I wanted to. This
I know.
I'm dead inside, Matt. So Harry's just sitting there, just thinking about Sirius's death, because that's gonna make everybody feel better.
Yeah, I mean, my first instinct was, Harry needs this moment of silence.
Yeah.
Like, it's just been so go, go, go. So many things have been happening. He needs to sit back, relax, and stop thinking. The problem is, of course, he doesn't stop thinking. He starts thinking about what just happened and what he wants to do about it, or what could happen. And that's what I didn't think about when I was thinking, oh, this moment of silence is going to be nice. No, his mind's going to start working.
Yeah. When you struggle with depression, silence and quiet time is usually more destructive than not. It messes with your brain chemicals in ways that's hard to explain. You think that like it would give you a chance to calm down and relax and clear your thoughts, but it's just as angry the other way around if you can't control it. So I totally get it. Like that's it sucks. I definitely realized at the beginning of this chapter that I am not ready for this chapter. Because this is going to be the we need to come to grips with everything that just happened chapter.
Sure.
So Dumbledore wants to have a talk with Harry. Just kind of have the talk that has needed to happen all year.
Yeah, it should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah. And it sucks that it has to come under these circumstances. And while it's good that it's finally happening, it is just heartbreaking that it took the loss of Sirius for it to all happen. Dumbledore was being very meticulous in his word choice with Harry.
Definitely.
He realized that he was dealing with a very emotional 15-year-old boy who just lost the only parental figure that he's ever known.
Yeah.
And he was being ice cold. Like he was not reacting emotionally at all. And when you deal with things like depression and anxiety and that kind of stuff, and you reach whatever boiling point you're at, and you need to release emotions, the most frustrating thing is having somebody respond with no emotions, because like you crave that gasoline to be poured on your fire because it will help you expel emotions quicker, and more explosively, and that's all you feel like. You feel like you just need to get it out of your body as quick as possible, as forceful, as powerful as possible. So, like you hope that if anybody is around, that they could have some sort of emotional response with you, to make it, essentially make it worse. But in the moment, you're just like, this is what I'm craving. So when somebody responds with no emotion, like it's so unsettling in the moment, because you're not getting what you're craving, for better or for worse. You know, I'm not saying like people should feed into like emotional outbursts, but like you're needing something. You want other people. You want to know and you want to feel that other people around you are feeling emotions the same way you are. And to see somebody in this circumstance, Dumbledore, just sitting there, ice cold water running through his veins, and not feeding into any of the emotions whatsoever. Like that's so hard to deal with in the moment. And all Harry, like, he hasn't had time to process all of this. He hasn't had time to release any of these emotions properly. And he just wants Dumbledore to, like, for one, he just wants him to tell him something. You know, like, he's gone all year thinking Dumbledore's been avoiding him and not telling him things and keeping things from him.
Which is pretty accurate.
Yeah. Totally. But Harry thought it was for different reasons than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
But he's still, like, he's mad that Dumbledore isn't more mad or upset or angry or emotional. You know, like, he feels like he's being... I don't even know how to describe it. It's tough. Like, he doesn't want a shoulder to cry on. He wants somebody to cry with him, you know, and to make him feel like he's not totally crazy for feeling these emotions. Because all of his friends are in the hospital wing. You know, professors are in the hospital wing. Other members of the Order are in the hospital wing. Like, everybody's banged up and bruised, and he's just sitting here with Dumbledore, and he's just like, give me something, because I am emotionally unhinged right now. Sirius Black, the one parental figure I've ever known in my entire life, is now dead, and you're just sitting there calm, cool, and collected. Like, it's no big deal.
That's at least what he gives on the outside.
Yes. No, I'm saying this is coming from Harry's perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Harry is seeing and perceiving.
Yes, I'll give you that.
At the end, we realize that, like, what's going on inside Dumbledore is completely opposite of what he's showing.
Yeah.
But Harry's not getting that, and he's just, like, craving something from Dumbledore at this point, and he feels like he's still getting the runarounds and the same Dumbledore that he's gotten all year. You know?
Sure.
As weird and stupid as this sounds, he got more emotional response from Dumbridge as headmistress than he's gotten from Dumbledore as headmaster of Hogwarts this entire school year.
I can see that.
And I think that's driving him crazy, because, like, he's come to trust and rely on Dumbledore being there when he's needed it, you know? He may not be there every step of the way, but when push comes to shove, like, Dumbledore has been his rock.
Sure.
And so he's just like, he's done. He's emotionally spent. He has nothing else to give emotionally. And he needs that comforting emotionally from Dumbledore, and he's just ice cold. God, that was tearing me apart. It's also incredible how well Dumbledore could hold his composure, with the small exception of his little outburst in Goblet of Fire movie. Which
is not characteristic. Can you see once again when after situations like this, where he is so calm, cool, collected, composed, no matter what's going on the inside, why that scene is so frustrating.
Yeah. I'm surprised I thought of that scene during this chapter, because that is the farthest thing from my mind. But I'm just like, I'm sitting here thinking of just like how insane it is that he's not being emotional in any aspect. And I was like, wow, that's why everybody is so upset in that scene in the movie, because that was so out of character for him. Oh, Oh man, it bugs me now. Like, even though I'm talking about it, now I'm starting to get upset about it. Like, I want to go back and watch that movie just so I can be mad at that scene.
Well, the good news is you can go back and watch that movie as many times as you want.
It's true, man. It's true. Yeah. So then start. Okay, so we're on this emotional journey here. I started really having a hard time when he was taking blame for Sirius's death.
Yeah.
I understand his reasons.
Sure.
But that's guilt that I don't want Dumbledore to take on. Because goodness knows that man has enough going on in his life. And has for many years.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's so many people to blame, or that could step up and take blame for what happened, but ultimately, like, it still happened. Like, no matter who wants to take blame or admits fault in any of it, like, it doesn't change the fact that it happened. And
sure, but like you said, Dumbledore is that rock, not only for Harry, but for a lot of other people too. And that's just in his personality. That's what he does. He absorbs that type of stuff.
Yeah.
We just see him doing it again.
It was just tough. Then it got into the point where, like, Dumbledore realized that there's some things that he finally needs to explain to Harry. And again, it sucks that everything had to happen to get to this point. But, you know, I kind of feel like Harry's owed it at this point.
So, I don't know how much you've thought about this yet, but Dumbledore kind of goes through and he talks about it like, I thought about telling you after this instance, and I thought about telling you after this instance. Like, year after year, he's thought about telling him. Do you think, if you were in Dumbledore's shoes, would you have told him sooner?
I don't know. Like, part of me wants to say, yeah, I totally would have. But, like, his reasons and justifications for never telling him, even though they changed, they evolved over time, like, they were all legit. He had really good reasons for not doing it. Also, how is he to know that, like, Tom would come back in full form as quickly as he did?
Yeah.
You know? How did he could have known that Sirius Black would be killed to basically, you know, emotionally break Harry Potter? He couldn't.
No.
You know?
I mean, he was definitely trying to prevent it, but...
So, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yes.
I would love to say, if I was Dumbledore, I would have told him as soon as, you know, I could have. But,
so would you have told him back when he was 11 after the first year? Is that where you're going at?
And see, I want to say yes, but then it's like, well, is that something an 11-year-old could process? Probably not. So then I'd wait until he's ready to hear. Well, when's he going to be ready to hear it? 14, 15, 16?
Well, you see, and that's when it gets to, like, just the second year. And he's like, part of his reasoning is, well, 12 is about the same as 11. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, once you start down that path,
yeah,
well, then 13 is about the same as 12, 14 is about the same as 13. Like, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. So, it's tough. However, I think I could definitively say that over the summer before this school year started, when the Order became part of the story and Dumbledore was taking the utmost precautions with everything,
Sure.
that would have been the time to tell Harry what was going on. Like, if there was ever a window of when it was the right time to do so, that was it. And it didn't happen.
I could see that. Once they knew Voldemort was back, they had reestablished the Order. It's like, okay,
Harry's fighting Dementors in the alleyway. Like, okay, let's have this conversation now.
But like, reestablishing the Order was kind of that we know things are changing.
Yes.
Moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like you said, that really would have been the time to do it.
Yeah. And, you know, Harry was still a dumb kid, sure. But things definitely escalated to a point where it went from I can handle this to I need all the backup I could get. And at that point, you should at least be willing to tell Harry what was going on and why it was happening.
Sure.
So that's when I could definitively say that if I was Dumbledore, before this school year started would have been when I broke everything down for Harry. And he probably wanted to, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. And even through the school year, he had chances, you know?
If he wasn't trying to avoid him.
Yeah. But
I mean, because if you get into it, like, how much is he going to tell him?
But like, even something as simple as explaining or having somebody else, if he didn't want to do it himself, like relay that Harry would trust, explaining why he's taking the occlumency classes. Something as simple as that would have gone so far. You know, but like Dumbledore just expected him to go along with him because he's Dumbledore and this was his orders.
Sure.
But, you know, like Harry explained, he was like, I wasn't practicing. I didn't feel like I needed to or wanted to because I didn't know why it was important. You know? You made me practice with Snape. I hate Snape. Dumbledore was like, yeah, I should have been teaching myself, but I couldn't. Blah, blah, blah. That's fine. Like, make Harry suffer with Professor Snape. No problem. But if you were to at least tell Harry, hey, this is why you have to do it. Snape is still going to be the biggest jerk of life to you because he has to put on a show. Harry might have went about it differently. But he felt just thrown out to the wolves by himself. Sure, Hermione's encouraging him to do it and to get better at it, but he was beyond the point of, like, really caring what Hermione had to say.
Yeah.
It's getting heavy, Matt. It's getting heavy. We found out Creature is a horrible little filthy house elf.
Yep.
Yeah. I knew I couldn't trust that stupid little house elf as far as I could throw him. Which is quite far. House elves are very throwable.
Yep.
So he's not like he's working for Voldy, kinda, or Tom, but like he still belongs to the Black household. House elf hierarchy is very complicated.
So I mean, he's not working directly for Tom.
No,
because he when he got out of the household, he still could only report to Blacks,
right,
or the Black family,
right, which by default was Malfoy, Mrs. Malfoy, who's a cousin of the Blacks. Or I don't remember the family lineage.
Narcissa, Mrs. Malfoy, was a black.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, at one point. So that's
Yeah.
like got through on a technicality, but he was also doing that because he was trying to help out, you know, Tom and what was going on the dark side of the war, I guess, or the impending war, I should say. Yeah, just Creature, man, just so disappointing. I would say it's disappointing, but it's not because we all knew it was happening. I don't think Creature's fooled any of us.
Yeah. Creature be creature.
We were made to hate that little dude from the beginning, so good
Sure.
riddance, Creature. I mean, we're not done with Creature yet. He's still out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's still hell to pay when it comes to Creature. Yeah, Harry is just like, he's borderline full breakdown at this point. He's like, I can't handle this. This is way too much for me right now. This is just the beginning, old Harry. So Dumbledore's just like, fine, let's do this. Let's lay it all out here. Let's talk about this from the beginning. Boy, this got deep real quick. Kind of murky. There were tears and emotions flowing at this point, so it was kind of
Sure.
hard to kind of really grasp what was going on. But from what I picked up on, Harry's mother's blood is essentially what was used by Dumbledore to create the protection spell that has kept Harry from being killed from Tom all these years.
Yeah.
And it's essentially recharged, replenished.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of looking at it.
It's like filling up his health meter, I guess. Whenever he revisits the only place that he can call home.
Yep.
Which is
that. Yeah, and still has that blood relation.
Yeah, which is the Dursleys.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, but yes.
Which is why Dumbledore sends him back there every summer. That's why he's not allowed to stay at Hogwarts during the summer.
Yep.
He has to go back to recharge the protection charm.
Which I can finally discuss with you. Why Harry can't stay at Hogwarts.
This has been like, what, year and a half in the making of me wondering why the heck he's still going back to this house?
At least, yeah.
Oh, God. It just makes me sick to know that I was so stupid about all this for so long, Matt.
Hey, you just didn't know. Didn't know.
No, I mean, I knew there's probably a good reason for it. I just didn't know it was this good of a reason. This is also where we found out about the Howler that was sent.
Yes.
Back in, like, what, chapter 2?
Something like that. But yeah, when they were trying to kick Harry out, gets the Howler. Remember my last Petunia.
I would have gone the rest of my life without ever remembering that there was a mysterious Howler sent to the household.
Yep.
If it wasn't for this revelation.
One of those moments I'd wonder if you remember it or not. But
I think there's a good chance I even did a Muggle theory on it.
There's a possibility. There might be one called the Howler, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I didn't say it was Dumbledore. Or did I? Was I right about this all along?
if you did, he was far down in the list.
Sure.
Like you might have given us many options.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't your top option.
I think Mrs. Weasley was.
Because you've seen her.
Yeah. I remember it being like
before.
a very big deal to begin the book, and then so much happened so quickly.
Yep.
And never thought about that stupid howler again.
Yeah.
Way to wrap it all back up, JK.
That's what she does.
Because I went months and months thinking about this howler. Wondering, who said the howler? When are we going to find out about the howler?
Yeah, we all knew you were waiting.
Was not. Okay. Important stuff here. So, basically explains why Harry is the boy that lived. Blah, blah, blah. Why he's able to not be killed by Tom at this point.
Yep.
So let's talk about this lost prophecy.
Yes.
Prophecy that I thought last week we'd never know about. Stupid me.
JK wraps things up. We just got over that.
Yeah. I know. Dumbledore knows about the prophecy.
Of course he does. Dumbledore knows everything.
Because he heard the prophecy firsthand when it was created. So what got smashed, the glass ball, was not the actual prophecy, but it was just a record of the prophecy for the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, once again, I still stand by. They should have a more indestructible way of keeping these records. But
yeah, glass balls seem sketch.
Like, write it down in a book. Come on.
Then again, if anybody were to grab one that's not the one that they're associated with, like they become physically ill, like, look, I don't know.
They can make individual miniature books for each prophecy.
Yeah. They're wizards. Come on, guys. What are you doing?
They can be really cute and people will love them.
You're just showing off now with your glass orbs. Okay. Dumbledore heard the prophecy firsthand many, 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 many years ago.
16
to be exact. Who made the prophecy?
Well, you know by now.
Trelawney.
Your favorite.
Of course, it was Trelawney. Because of course it was, Matt. She wasn't just a wacko teacher at Hogwarts. Turns out she was kind of important to the whole story.
Kind of, yeah.
Possibly a good reason why Dumbledore insisted that she stay at Hogwarts.
Very much so.
Now, caveat to all this,
yes.
Dumbledore did say she's pretty much still a wacko. She was a wacko then. She was not good at her job.
I mean, the biggest thing, Dumbledore was not going to hire her. That was the whole thing. It's like he was leaving this meeting, and it happened.
Yeah. But Trelawney made this prophecy. And
so okay, I have to go back.
Yeah.
You remember the inscription from last week?
Oh, yes.
That we were all asking you about?
SPT to APWBD. Dark Lord and Blink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that all makes sense now, right?
No. Did it get explained in this chapter?
Pretty much. You didn't make the connection there?
Help me out here.
Okay.
SPT.
SPT. What's Trelawney's name?
Trelawney.
What's her first name?
Boy. Don't know.
Sybil with an S.
Oh.
Sybil Patricia Trelawney.
Goodness. Okay.
And then I had to hold it in last week when you told me those next 5 letters, they couldn't be a person. But as we've mentioned a couple of times, and I always try and make a note of it because I love this name, Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore. APWBD.
Gotta be joking me.
And you see that's the one we I don't think we've learned Trelawney's middle name up till this point.
Yeah.
And we still haven't in the books.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if we ever do actually. But those 5 letters, if they stand out and you can connect them to Dumbledore's name, that's what gives it away.
Okay.
So there you go.
Got me.
That's what they're recording. It's Trelawney talked to Dumbledore about this prophecy.
If I wasn't so bad at names, Matt, I could have nailed that. Okay, this prophecy.
Yes.
Basically, look, I was confused as Harry was with this whole thing. Basically, what the prophecy says was between him and Voldy. Well, okay, not even necessarily him. On a kid that was born on July 31st.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
the
not even July 31st.
End of July.
The end of July would be equal to old Voldy over there, essentially. But only one would be able to live at a time. Right? I don't know. It got murky. It was Trelawney speak, and I just tuned her out like I do all the other times.
So, I mean, well, we... To be clear, going back a little bit,
okay.
Like when Harry hears this prediction, he's like, he realizes, I've heard this voice before.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's when he heard the other prediction about Pettigrew going to find Voldemort.
Right.
And bring him back.
Yeah.
And
when everybody
later,
thought he was crazy that he heard her talking this voice.
But he tells Dumbledore about it, and that's when he has the great line about, oh, she made another one, I should give her a pay raise.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what he was referencing as the first one.
Okay.
16 years ago.
Man, could you imagine having to only be good at your job once every 16 years?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the things that she's being good at her job at once every 16 years are pretty important. But still, man.
Yeah. So yeah, my point being though that message that we got then,
yeah,
still fairly cryptic.
Yep.
Same thing with this one.
Yeah.
There are little things we can figure out. Like I said, end of July, not hard to. Born as the 7th month dies is how it's worded.
Yeah.
So end of July.
Yeah. Which we know is Harry Potter's birthday.
Yeah, Harry Potter's birthday is July 31st. You had that right.
Mm-hmm.
But what we also have found out, we've actually discussed once before on this podcast, is that Neville's birthday is on July 30th.
Have we actually talked about that?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I believe you. It's definitely not something I would ever remember. Till now.
Exactly.
And now I know why everybody else would remember that too.
It doesn't seem at all important until we get here.
Until it's discovered that, this whole time, maybe it's not Harry that's special. Maybe it's good old Neville. Neville, of all freaking people, Matt.
It could have been Neville.
Could have been.
And who knows what that would have changed. So just to go back to the prophecy quickly.
Neville Longbottom in the Sorcerer's Stone.
And the Dark Lord will mark him.
Yeah.
So basically, by attacking Harry as a child, he chose him instead of Neville. So it's not Neville. But what's to say that if he did choose Neville, Neville wouldn't have stepped into Harry's shoes,
right,
and done these things and been as great as he is. And we could be sitting here saying, "Oh, poor Harry."
Yeah, Harry
would have been
just that annoying little Gryffindor kid that just is always trying to one up everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be James Potter right now. But like, it's heartbreaking to know that like Neville essentially lost his parents because of this prophecy.
I don't
sort of. I mean,
I don't know about that because Voldemort didn't go after him.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
that was Bellatrix.
Sorry, there's so many things in my head right now. I'm all confused. That happened after the fact. Yeah, I blown away that Neville was even mentioned here.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah, because it's Neville.
Right? It is Neville. Yep.
So I mean, this pretty much sets up what we could assume to be the final showdown. Like it's kind of Harry has this realization that, according to the prophecy, him and Tom can't coincide at the same time in life. It's going to be kill or be killed.
Either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I could definitely understand why why Dumbledore wouldn't want to tell a dumb 11-year-old kid about this prophecy.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy that the entire world fears, you're either going to have to kill him or be killed by him. Sorry about your luck. That's a lot to put on an 11-year-old. I'm not saying it's much easier to put on a 15-year-old.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But still.
I mean, as an 11-year-old, okay, they did have some interactions during their first year, and he did kind of come to like Dumbledore and stuff, but what 11-year-old is going to actually believe him and take him seriously at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little more a few years down the road, and he's been through some things, and he definitely trusts Dumbledore and that sort of thing. Like, he knows that he's not just playing around with him.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what's going on.
Yeah. So, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Harry kind of knows his origin story, essentially, at this point.
Sure.
And more or less knows what he's destined to do or become. He's still trying to process the loss of Sirius. There's a whole lot going on. Emotionally, I was trying to put myself in his shoes, and I really couldn't. Like, there's so many different emotions to be feeling at this point. And at that moment, just when I was starting to think about how Harry's feeling and how he's doing it and what is going through his head and his heart, like, there's a hard cut to a tear running down Dumbledore's cheek. And I freaking lost it, because here's this guy that, 20 minutes ago I was just saying was ice cold and showed no emotions, and like Harry was losing his mind because he needed something out of Dumbledore. Like, that was... Dumbledore's hiding a lot of pain and a lot of emotions behind that that ice cold demeanor, and that's an awful feeling to have to hold all that back because you're expected to not be emotional, to not act emotionally. You know?
Yeah.
That one stupid line at the end of the chapter, I was just like, I'm done. I can't. Now, like, the one person who's emotionally stable in this whole story, like, is starting to, like, break down here. I can't. Oh, I needed that chapter to be done so bad. Oh, I'm glad it was. Let's move on.
All right.
Okay.
Chapter 38. The Second War begins.
I said this before we started recording. The original reading schedule was to just do those 2 chapters this week, and then we'd be doing this last chapter next week. After reading this chapter, I mean, it's a little lengthy, but, I mean, it was kind of boring in the grand scheme of things. Like, I don't know how I would have been able to do a whole episode with just this chapter.
Well, compared to what we just went through.
Yeah.
I mean, this would have been like recovery. The recovery week. It's like, here's your hour-long episode, final chapter, we're done. Let's do this.
Yeah, which might not have been a bad idea. But I don't want to spend like a lot of time talking about this chapter. Like, there's a few things I definitely want to talk about.
Sure.
So we'll run through them, like, stop me or interject anytime you want.
Yep.
Found out that the Dementors are under the control of Voldy.
Yeah, the
So that's
Ministry
awesome.
has completely lost control of them.
Yep, cool. Great. That's what I love to hear. Okay, one thing before we get into some actually happier things to talk about. There was one quote, and it was, I don't remember who said it at this point. But the line was, "Thoughts could leave deeper scars than anything else."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was talking about Ron's injuries, actually, I believe.
Was it? Oh, yeah, with the brains.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe Man Pomfrey said that.
Yeah. Kind of a throwaway line if you're not thinking about it. But, like, there is some real deep meaning and
you know
importance
JK
to
was
that
thinking
line.
about it.
Yeah. Like, we're talking about brains attacking a person physically, which is weird and bizarre because brains don't have tentacles that attack people except in this world. Whatever. So, like, there was, like, that kind of like the play on words of, you know, thoughts could leave deeper scars than anything else, because she was talking about how, like, Ron had all these scars all over his arms that would take a little bit longer to heal than normal scars from these brain tentacles. But it's also very indicative to just how important mental health is, to be aware of, to take care of, to pay attention to, because, you know, like, physical injuries are one thing, but, like, when you are having trouble with depression, with anxiety, with anything else, you know, when you get stuck inside your own head, sometimes those emotional scars are hard to heal. So I'm glad it wasn't, like, made to be a big deal. I'm really glad that I caught the line, like, specifically.
Yeah.
Because I was like, at first I'm like, oh, that's cute. Because, you know, brains attacking, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, there's some meaning behind that. There's depth to that. So I just wanted to point that out there and kind of give a reminder to everybody listening that, like, take care of yourself, people. Like, by whatever means necessary. It's important. My boy Flitwick.
Yes.
Cleared that swamp in 3 seconds flat.
3 seconds. But not all of it.
As much as he wanted to.
Yes.
He wanted to leave a little memorial for
Yes.
what Ron and George, not Ron,
Fred and George.
Fred and George did.
Yes.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Roped it off. Like
just be cautious. So
Yeah.
people don't step in it or something. But
perfect.
yeah, that has got. I mean, possibly more than Fred and George could have ever asked for.
Yeah. But deservingly so, I'd say.
Yeah.
The news did not sit well with me, Matt, that Dumbridge was already back in the castle. I'm pretty sure that was a topic of discussion last week. Like, how soon until we get back into Dumbridge? Like, when is she when is she going to come back? Well, she came back a lot sooner than I expected her to. I can tell you that much.
Well, it didn't help that Dumbledore went out and found her.
Stupid Dumbledore. I mean, okay, he did what he was supposed to do, I guess, but it's
that's just who he is.
Even if she's not the same because of everything that happened, it's still unsettling just to have her back in that castle.
Yeah.
Granted, by the end of the chapter, she takes off in the middle of the night, and now we may never see her again. Who knows? Look, we're not going to be that lucky. We'll see her again.
Yeah.
But I was just like,
to know that she's been stripped of all her power.
Yeah, I could have gone the rest of this book without hearing her name again. You know?
Well, yeah, that's what you were expecting.
Yeah. No, she's in the hospital wing, like across the bed from. Just God, ugh, too much. Can't handle it. Best thing.
Yeah.
We finally got the giant squid reference of Order in the Phoenix. Woo! Yes!
Stop by that lake enough. It'll pop up once in a while.
Took 38 chapters, Matt, but we got it in there. I was sweating bullets. I'm like, we're going to go a whole book without a giant squid reference. I'm going to lose my mind. That giant squid is just good as dead as far as I'm concerned. Nope, he's still there. Hanging out, swimming with students, doing giant squid things. Can't ask for much more. It's like JK knew I needed some emotional pick-me-ups, you know?
Yeah.
She's like, you know what, that guy Josh, he could really use a giant squid in his life. When he reads this in 15 years, he's going to love me for this. Malfoy. Of course, we couldn't finish the book without having one final Malfoy confrontation.
Yep.
Of course. Which Malfoy cue up the Snape interference. Because of course Snape is there. Just
perfect timing.
Always.
Makes you wonder if like Snape and Malfoy are just always waiting around the corner, and it's like then, oh, he's coming. Yeah. All right, Malfoy, go, egg him on.
Yeah.
I'll pop out in a minute.
Wouldn't be surprised. And that, of course, led to the McGonagall return.
Yep.
Return to glory. And they start talking about house points and all that nonsense. And I'm like, really? At this point, that's the farthest thing from my mind is who wins a stupid house cup. I could care less. Sure.
We didn't.
Some of the students, that's all they're thinking about.
They didn't even mention it, though. Who won the house cup?
No. But I mean, like, just the whole point system. Like,
I know
98% of the students at Hogwarts right now have no idea what's going on.
I mean, you can blame that one on Snape. He's the one who tried to take points away again.
Yeah.
That's why it all got started.
It's just like, I get it, but really, guys, come on. There's just more things to worry about. Harry, Harry's still dealing with the lost Sirius, and he has an idea. And I worry where this is going to go. What it's going to lead to. Oddly enough, it led to a character I did not see being relevant at the time. Nearly Headless Nick.
Yeah.
Happens to be a ghost. And Harry's wondering if, because he's a ghost, that if anybody else could be a ghost when they die. Harry's not ready to accept the fact that Sirius is gone forever, that he's never going to see him or talk to him again.
Sure.
You know, I understand he's searching for something, for anything here. But I appreciate the little heart-to-heart that he had with Nick. Kind of gave some more insight about the ghost world and how kind of messed up it is.
Yep.
It's a lot darker than...
Yeah, that's not a lot background we've gotten from JK before.
Yeah.
And that's one of those I can't say I've necessarily wondered about, but the more I think about it, I do have questions, because it's kind of like there are many different theories on vampires and werewolves, like what they are, how they become what they are, what they look like, all these different sorts of things, depending on which fantasy world you're talking about.
Yeah.
These rules change a bit. And so kind of wonder, what are the rules of the ghost world? Well, like we've kind of talked about that before. It's like ghosts interacting with physical objects and stuff like that. But we haven't gotten to the point of becoming a ghost. How does that work here?
Right. And this it led to just more realization for Harry that Sirius is gone.
So right before that, before he went to see Nick,
mm-hmm.
Do you remember what he was doing?
He was avoiding the dinner, the feast.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like I blocked something out. I feel like something happened.
So he was working on packing, and
oh, yeah, the mirror.
The mirror, yes.
I totally blocked that out. I don't want to think about the mirror.
The mirror that could have solved so many problems.
God, that sucks.
Yeah.
And
honestly, I think one of, I always want to blame this one on Sirius, actually. That he didn't let Harry open the package when he gave it to him.
Yeah.
So he had no idea what was in it,
right.
And he promptly forgot about it.
Right. Yeah, it's easy to blame Sirius. Like, my concern, though, is that Harry blames himself for not remembering it, for not opening it, for not using it, for not trying it. Like, he would have been able to get a hold of Sirius right then and there. Things would have turned out differently.
And I think if he had a better idea of what was in the package, if he had seen it before, he might have had a better... It might have stuck in his mind a little more and might have been able to use it sooner.
Oh, sure. I'm just saying, from Harry's perspective, he's 100% going to take the blame for not opening that and using it and changing, the course of history with it. Just, that sucked. That sucked. Another thing that really... What a weird thing to kind of end the book on was Luna.
Yeah.
She, as it turns out, it was kind of hinted and suggested from the moment we met her that she was different.
Yep. She's the oddball.
But also not socially welcomed by many people. Like
Sure.
she became part of the group unintentionally.
And yeah, like she most of the time, it's a little bit different towards the end because she had to physically like go down to the forest with them and stuff.
Yeah.
But most of the other times, it's like I always get the feeling that she was just kind of like the group was there and she happened to be nearby. And so like she heard what they were talking about. It wasn't necessarily intentionally eavesdropping or anything, but she heard what they're talking about, wanted to occasionally interject and things like that. But she didn't really have any need or want to be part of the group even necessarily.
Right.
But she just over time kind of became part of the group. And then we saw things like the DA that she took part in, and that led to her helping out with Harry's plan later on, which she got caught, and then she was with them and just stuck with them.
Yeah.
Sure. But
so while we knew that she wasn't, she wasn't the most popular kid in school, what we didn't really know up until this like final part of the book was how much she was actually being bullied at school.
Yeah.
And how seemingly unaffected she was, as far as like how she outwardly projected. Internally, you'd have to think that like she's in a lot of pain. We learned that she saw her mother die when she was a kid.
Yep.
And that's why she's able to see the Thestrals.
Yep.
Thankfully, her dad has been there for her since then, and has given her as much as she needed in life. But that'll mess up a kid. Seeing a parent die.
Sure.
But at Hogwarts, and it didn't seem like it was just this year. It seems like it's probably been going on since she's been there.
Yeah.
She's bullied big time.
And as sad as it is, like I love her line. It's like she talks about her possessions almost as if they're alive.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, yeah, people will bring them back to me. It's like, no, they'll come back. They always do in the end.
Yeah. And it's just like, I love her positivity, and I love, the fact that she's able to turn something that's pretty awful into something that's easier to digest, I guess. But, that sucks that kids at school, take her things and hide them, and she has to put up a notice on the bulletin board on the last day to politely ask for her things back so she could pack and go
to
home.
Remind them to return her things. Like, yeah.
She's like, I wanted to pack tonight, but oh well, I'll do it tomorrow when we head out. Like, it just, and like even Harry commented, like, for the first time, like he felt like empathy for her,
Yeah.
There's a lot more to Luna, and I'm eager to get to know her more after this.
Sure.
But I wasn't expecting that at the end of this book, which I guess makes sense because this book has been so heavily focused on bullying, but yeah, I that came out of nowhere. Pretty much said goodbye to Cho. Good riddance.
Yep.
Peace out. On to better and better things, Harry. The Slytherin trio got turned into slugs. Good riddance. See you next year. Things will escalate, I'm sure. They do every year. Get back to the train station. Harry's dreading it. He has to go back to the Dursleys. He knows he has to, but he desperately doesn't want to. Understandably so. Thankfully, he has a welcoming committee waiting for him. It's not just the Dursleys, but it is the Order. They're there to welcome him, and not just welcome him back from Hogwarts, but to transfer him back to the Dursleys with a little friendly, gentle reminder to ease up on the boy. You know, be parental figures, sure. Don't let him get away with murder, but maybe not treat him like he's trash. You know? Treat him like a kid that you're raising. As crazy as that sounds.
Yeah.
Also, one final note. I never knew that I wanted a Moody and Uncle Vernon showdown until we got it. And I am absolutely fascinated by this.
Yeah. It's a very good interaction.
Mr. Weasley and Uncle Vernon was funny and interesting, but you could kind of see where it would lead to, no matter which angle you looked at it from.
Yeah.
Mad-Eye is such a wild card, and Uncle Vernon kind of is too, that I hope this isn't the only time that we get this interaction between them. I need more of this in my life.
Yeah, I just love how direct Mad-Eye is with him.
Yeah.
It's like, are you threatening me, sir? It's like, yes, I am. And do I look like the kind of man who can be intimidated? Well, yeah, you do.
Says the guy in a bowler hat.
Yeah.
Just, I need more of it. Lupin, I was feeling pain from Lupin. It sucks to think that what happened had to happen in order for us to get more of Lupin going forward. But that was definitely something, like I said many times on the show over the course of this book, was I wish Lupin wasn't such a secondary character.
Yeah.
I think we could get more Lupin now. I hope so, at least. Because I need him. Harry needs him. So
always a possibility.
Yeah. And now the book is over. Harry is alone again, and we got some things coming up in the next book, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But good riddance to Harry Potter and Order of the Phoenix, Book 5. I wish I could say I loved you, but boy, made it hard.
I understand.
And I can't imagine the next two are going to be a walk in the park, so here we go. We're done. It's a wrap.
We are. That's all we got. That's all she wrote.
Next week we'll be talking about the movie.
We will.
And then from there we will start Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Such a good book.
We'll see. We will see. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I can't do more on this book. I'm emotionally drained from this book.
Fair enough.
Let's do some emails, Matt.
All right, we'll see what we can do.
Cheer me up. All the emails better be about the giant squid appearance, or I quit.
Well, our first email
is not about the giant squid.
Comes in from Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
The first of the Nemus clan.
Ah, okay.
Says, Dear Josh and Matt, surprise, I'm not quite gone yet. She, by the time we're reading this, I believe, is in Africa. So.
Okay.
Says, I'm currently flying over the Atlantic right now, and I just finished last week's episode thanks to my sister Ashley and our dear Professor Matt. We made sure to get Caitlin the episode downloaded onto her device before she left on her flight, so she could listen to it while she was flying. Says, I'm planning on using my last available Wi-Fi in my layover at the Brussels airport to send in one last email in real time to the show, which she made apparently.
Boy, I'm going to get emotional just thinking about like this being the last email for somebody. Like, God, that sucks. Okay, sorry.
To address something from last week, as the show demonstrates, the name Katie is super popular. I believe Katie with a Y is the fifth to the show. Well, apparently she's counting. While I was growing up, I actually wanted a nickname, but I was always one of many Caitlins, Catherines, or Katies. Teachers and friends never shortened my name, but my family did. We spelled it Katie, Caitie.
Okay.
So there you go. You can make a Katie out of that.
All right.
She says, I'm not sure when it started, but I quite like having a name that just my family uses. It's gotten to the point where if a friend or coworker tries to shorten my name, I give them weird looks and sometimes even ask them to switch back to Caitlin, which wouldn't make sense to 10-year-old Caitlin, but does to 22-year-old me. Anyways, I really appreciate all you guys have done for the listeners, whether it's interacting on Twitter or replying to our long-winded emails. The best part is hearing about your takes on this beloved series, because it's another way to consume the books that we get to explore and even binge. I had to say goodbye to my family and friends with a hopeful promise I would see them next July or December, and having the podcast comforted me so much on this trip already. Harry Potter is as central to my nerd identity as my love for Lord of the Rings, paranormal TV shows, and reading. It's as much home to me as being with my family, and the comfort from Harry Potter will help me through these difficult transition months. Sorry, boys, there won't be any need to wait and read only 2 chapters at a time.
Fine, I guess we can accept that.
So let's get to it. The end of book 5, finally. Slightly Reckless doesn't even begin to describe Harry's mad dash after Bellatrix. We see the way the Unspeakables navigate around their department, simply by asking a question. I love J.K.'s simple genius behind the magic of buildings and spaces in their world. I know Josh said it jokingly, sort of, last week when he said we don't know if Voldy was actually present during the fighting. And I had to do another, oh no, Josh didn't really just predict that moment, did he?
No, I clearly didn't.
So this is wizard dueling in action. Somehow the professor who shall not be named didn't do the art justice back in book 2.
Can't imagine why.
I love the descriptions of the mobilized statues from the fountain. They remind me of Harry's initial thoughts on Patronuses, something about Hagrid standing and blocking Harry from everything. Voldy has to give up. He can't match Dumbledore's speed and enormous power. What do evil people do when they cannot physically overpower their targets? They emotionally inflict pain on them. But Harry, dear Harry, is emotionally strong. He knows great pain, but also knows great love. From his parents' sacrifice to Ron and Hermione's enduring loyalty to Sirius's father/brother role, he truly has powers Voldemort knows not. Harry's back at Dumbledore's office. The reality has set in, and he really doesn't want to hear what Dumbledore has to say, even if it's the answers he's been craving for months. But Dumbledore has decided it's time for Harry to get answers, regardless of what Harry wants. Well, all of that chapter was important. I think a couple of things do stick out. One of them is the revelation of the prophecy. Duh. But the other big one is the prophecy did not refer to Harry. It could have been Neville. Voldemort chose his own worst enemy based on minimal information from a devoted servant. Although it's not nearly as important as the rest of the info, the locked room does have some sort of explanation. Somehow, wizards capture deep and powerful emotions in order to study them. But since it's always locked, does that mean no one studies it? And it's just there? Or are only specific unspeakables allowed in? It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a better person to end the fifth year at Hogwarts with than Luna. She's so grounded and provides such fresh perspectives that liven up any conversation. I can't wait for your thoughts on her movie portrayal. And Ivana Lynch's journey to the filming for the fifth movie is so inspiring. Which, remind me to talk about that next week.
Okay. Is that the name of the actress then, I'm guessing?
Yeah, yeah. Ivana Lynch plays Luna.
Okay.
The show of support from the Order is overwhelming in such a warm way. Perhaps Harry will have the shortest summer with the Dursleys, but honestly, when has he ever had much luck in that area? Have fun reading the sixth book. I won't spoil anything, but I will say that something I predicted back in book 2 when I first started reading them happens in this book. Let's see if the Muggle can outseer me.
Interesting. I'm not even thinking. Just throwing this out there for any emails that might be coming in about what I think is going to happen in the next book. I am so far removed from thinking about the next book at this point. It will take me a little bit to get to that point.
I'm sure.
Okay.
But you'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah. And we'll have a whole Muggle theory about my predictions for the whole book. And I mean, we have a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher to predict this time. And
yeah, you did get your female one now. So
I did. Yeah, I could cross that one off the list.
Let's see. Next one, just a short message from Christy.
Hi, Christy.
She says, this, I think, came in after... It must have just been after last episode, yeah. It says, be prepared for the next 2 books with 5 boxes, at least, of tissues per reading. 4 of them to throw, and 1 to keep handy just in case.
Perfect. Like throwing the individual tissues or the boxes themselves?
Well, I think she was throwing the boxes, but throwing the tissues could be frustrating because they won't go anywhere.
Frustrating, but also kind of therapeutic. Just keep hurling stuff without worry of breaking anything.
And that's exactly why I wouldn't throw the boxes. I would throw the tissues.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Since, you probably have a TV in every room, so...
Yeah. I'll let you know how that works out.
All right. Next email from Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
I thought that taking Professor Umbridge to the room requirement was a brilliant idea. It would be interesting to see what the room would have provided for Hermione and Harry. Maybe a Dementor? Or would Dumbledore finally show up in the room? But I thought another suggestion would have been to take her to the Whomping Willow. Hermione and Harry could have escaped while the Whomping Willow did his thing with Umbridge.
Yeah. I don't think that they really wanted to hurt her, though. Just get rid of her.
Yeah, but, I mean, Hermione has gotten whacked pretty well by the Whomping Willow.
Yeah, but Hermione's tough.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to kill anybody necessarily. The Whomping Willow is basically trying to protect itself and what was under it. I don't think it's out to kill.
Yeah. True.
As for the multiple owls, it reminded me of taking an advanced placement test for college credit. Many of the students in our area were fluent Spanish speakers, and they took the Spanish AP test even though they never took the AP Spanish class. So I'm sure some of the students at Hogwarts had natural skills and talents that they had learned without having to take the class.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know if that's allowed at Hogwarts. I suppose it's possible.
Sure.
Finally, I've always wondered why Dumbledore didn't just have the prophecy destroyed. It seems he knew what the prophecy said, and he also knew what Harry was having dreams about. If he had just had it destroyed, it would have stopped Harry's dreams, and Voldy wouldn't have been able to get to it. Dumbledore couldn't just take it down from the shelf, but based on what the kids did by knocking all the shelves over and the prophecies bursting open, Dumbledore could have done the same thing. What was the purpose of keeping the prophecy?
I mean, that specific one, no real purpose, but I don't think he would have like intentionally knocked down shelves and shelves of other prophecies that he didn't know of.
Yeah.
The kids did it because they didn't care.
Yeah.
Dumbledore would have a hard time doing it because of it.
And I think the whole point of having it is because most of the prophecies, like, for the longest, I don't think when Dumbledore first heard it, he knew exactly what it meant.
Right.
Like, there was some research that had to be done.
Yeah.
And, like, if something had happened to Dumbledore sooner, like, it would have been helpful to have that prophecy there so someone could listen to it and figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Now, how, once again, like, Harry would have gotten his hands on it if he didn't even know it was there, that's another question. It's like when Harry comes of age, does the Department of Mysteries contact him and say, hey, we have this prophecy down here about you with your name on it. If you want to come and check it out? Like, I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. There's a lot of if this, then that going on, you know?
Yeah. Still a lot of questions, but
yeah,
who knows if we'll ever find out.
Oh, I'm sure we will. We found out about a howler nobody remembered about, so.
All right. Next
For the record,
email.
I want people to know, listening. It was briefly mentioned at the beginning of the show, but like, Matt, you are like recovering from a sickness. I'm the one that's being emotional on this podcast. You sound like you're like fighting back tears, but like you're just trying to not sound super sick.
Yep.
So
now, I my notes started to get really stuffed up, and
knowing you, I know you're like thinking about it way too much for the sake of this show, but like I think people will understand. But it's also a nice touch because like it sounds like we're both super emotional on this episode.
Yeah,
it makes me sound less crazy.
Thanks for ruining the illusion, Josh. I was doing so well.
No, you weren't. And I can't, like, I would talk the entire episode if I could to prevent you from having to do this, but you won't let me touch the emails, so this is on you.
That's what I should have done. Spent my week just putting these emails, edited emails in a Word doc and sending them over to you.
Readable.
You're taking Muggle file. I like it.
Yeah, trademark that.
Yeah, good luck. Next email comes in from Edgar.
Hi, Edgar.
It says, Dear Professor and the Muggle, of course the Muggle is right and the Professor's wrong. Again, Neville is using his father's wand out of love for his father. When the Professor brought Ron in as counterexample against the Muggle, I have to remind the Professor that Ron only got his new wand because his father had won the lottery in the Ministry, and with part of the money they went to Egypt in the third book. So the only logical conclusion in my mind, and I guess Josh's as well, which, let's be sincere, is the only place that counts, is that Neville is using the wand out of love. Thanks, Professor, for allowing us to finish the book at once. I was wondering the whole week why you would split these chapters. They're not as long as they appear. Or perhaps my commutes are longer than they appear. But who cares? More Harry Potter is more Harry Potter. It was during the Lost Prophecy chapter when I finally realized what happened to Sirius the first time I read the book. The chapter is so full of small pearls of wisdom that I think it pushes this book up a few notches on my scale. It really gets you into the rage of Harry and the wisdom of Dumbledore. Amazing. Also, I love how Dumbledore just casually says, letters addressed to the headmaster will reach me. Basically reinstating himself as headmaster. That is a good line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, it's like he knows he has Fudge on the ropes, and like there's nothing he can do, so he's just gonna push all his demands at once and be kind of smart about it, like smart alecky.
Yep.
Yeah. Finally, I'd love to see Harry waiting 3 months on the train. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, I understand where Harry was coming from there, but what would you do on the train for 3? Where would you get food? Are there bathrooms on the train? Would there anybody come to visit you?
100% there's bathrooms. We know that there's like a snack cart that goes around, which
when there's people on the train, sure.
I would imagine like after 3 months,
for 3 months,
he would like people like all the kids would board the train and he'd be like camped out in one of the bunks, you know, and he'd like have some like scruff, like 5 o'clock shadow, like his just robes are just like all tattered and just worn down. He's just like, been here way too long. It'd be the most hilarious thing ever.
He looks like Lupin.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right. Next email comes in from Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Says, hi, guys. Thank goodness that book is done.
Yes.
It's been a marathon. Firstly, thanks, Josh, for your willingness to share your feelings and emotions traveling through this story. You allow us to have such rich and unique experience as Harry Potter fans. And to Val, I don't know how she's doing it. Matt is, in a way, lucky to be able to hide by distance and by the screen. But Val has to live with you daily. She must have the strongest will and an unbelievable poker face.
Yeah, I mean, we don't like talk about Harry Potter except like when we're reading it.
Well, yeah, but that's good on your part, not trying to pull anything out of her.
Yeah, I could probably try to crack her if I really wanted to, but I mean, what fun would that be, you know? Plus, yeah. I mean, also we do have to like, she knows the big events because she's seen all the movies, but like all the intricate detail and like how things kind of come to be, she is learning for the first time along with me because she hasn't read the books other than the first one before. So,
yep,
you know, yeah, she struggles with it though, I'm sure, but we make it work.
Wonderful. There's lots in these chapters, so I've chosen just a couple of things to comment on. The dueling scene in the Ministry has to this day a very clear picture in my mind. Voldemort gives no consideration to Harry other than to say he irks him and fires a killing curse. It's like Cedric all over again. No thought for life of a defenseless child. We have been told in the story that Dumbledore and Voldemort are powerful wizards, but we haven't really seen them do powerful magic. Even Voldemort's rebirth was magic done by someone else, even if it's under his instruction. We have been given hints of the spells they are capable of, but this is the first real duel we see, and it isn't just referred to as jets of light. It's a great battle, and you can feel the power of Dumbledore coming off the pages. I've always thought Harry's arrival in Dumbledore's office is more difficult to read than Sirius's death. Harry's grief is raw and painful. He's angry and hurting, and it's a distressing read. It's unbearable to contemplate his future without a parent to guide him. Thankfully, Dumbledore's army and the Order step up at the end of the book to shelter him and help him, and he seems to have comfort from their support. And now, on to something lighter. This is a long and heavy book, so let's celebrate finishing it. We started back in June. Winter, for me. 5 months later, we have 38 chapters, 18 episodes, and endless hours of a great podcast. We had an anniversary party with cake we couldn't eat. We had a birthday party. We've had theories to blow our minds. You joined Facebook and started a shop. We've tweeted, posted, emailed, and diligently done our giveaway homework. We've discussed Fortnites, accents, and cheeseheads. We have listened and laughed and sometimes cried with you. So, time for your OWL results.
Ooh, I didn't know I was being tested.
Matt for wrangling the Muggle, crafting the perfect chapter selection, and filtering the endless emails. Oh, outstanding. Josh, you started prior to the book with Muggle Theory number 7 and made some accurate predictions, mostly about that woman we won't discuss anymore. Theory number 8, the Howler, you predicted that Mrs. Weasley sent the Howler. Wrong. So your grade was going to be an E for exceeds expectations. But then you gave us the giant theory, which, other than the minor detail, was spot on. Mm-hmm. So Josh, you get an O2.
Fist bump.
The book is done. Time to fill our bowls with popcorn, raise our Tales from Godric's Hollow mugs. Oh, wait, we can't do that yet. So raise our glasses of butterbeer and watch that movie.
Matt, I want to give you another O for another owl that you participated in.
Yeah?
Yeah. Muggle baiting. You were phenomenal. All book at it.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll take all the owls I can get. Next email.
Man, we did a lot in that book.
We did.
I feel like this entire podcast has been just about that book. Like, not this show, but like the entire run of our podcast.
I know. It's been a long time. Like I said, longer than any other book. Like, other books were usually done in like 10-ish episodes, 10 to 15 maybe.
Yeah.
So to have this one alone be like 18 episodes, it's almost like two of the first books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool though.
It's a long time.
Back.
Next email from Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Says, hi guys, it's been a bit since I wrote in. I was going to last week, but then I discovered there's no way I could divide Sirius's death from the aftermath in my mind. So to avoid accidentally spoiling something, I held off. But Josh's reaction on the podcast made me tear up. I'm so sorry, friend. On a much more lighthearted note, because I think we need it, here's a list of names you can use to distinguish me among all the Katies. Katie Dawn, the blind chick, court reporter Katie, or perhaps Katie the Hufflepuff. But that might not work because if there's more than one Hufflepuff Katie, oh well.
I feel like all the Katies are Hufflepuffs.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Silly parents for picking a very common name and then spelling it weirdly just to confuse people. For the record, she's Kayde.
Oh, okay.
I know we've talked about that before,
Sure.
but yeah. All right. So I suppose I have to talk about sad things now.
No.
Harry had the mirror the whole time, you guys. That absolutely crushed me the first time I read it. I'd completely forgotten about the package Sirius gave him, and it was there in his trunk all that time. Sobbing forever.
When did he give him that package? I cannot remember.
It was when they went back to Grimmauld Place.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have been at Christmas time. Yeah, that's when he was there in the middle of the year for Christmas.
Right.
Like Mr. Weasley got attacked, and then it was Christmas.
Right.
And then they're going back to school after that. And as they were leaving, Sirius gave it to him.
Okay.
It was essentially a Christmas present.
Okay. So you didn't have it all year.
No, but
long enough.
Think of how many times he was trying
to.
Stupid fireplace.
Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first read these last few chapters at 15, before I'd really experienced what it's like to lose someone close to me, I found myself hoping right along with Harry that he would still be able to talk to Sirius through the mirror, or even see him as a ghost. I was so sure he really couldn't be gone. But death is final, and sometimes it happens for no good reason that we can see. And that's an important thing to learn. Full disclosure, I'm writing this email just hours after holding my dad while he cried because my grandma isn't doing so great right now. So all this is hitting me particularly hard this week. I did want to say how much I've loved the scene with Harry and Luna as well, but I won't elaborate more because this email is already kind of long. Hang in there, Josh. The crazy journey isn't over yet.
You too, Katie.
Next email comes in from Rihanna.
Hi, Rihanna.
Says, hey guys, I wanted to start with a response to something Josh said last week. He mentioned that he just wants to go back and read book 1 because of how magical it is and all their problems are kid problems. I think this is the reason we all end up reading the series over and over again.
It's a trap. It's a trap. Don't do it. You're just going to end back here.
Things get super complicated by the end of book 7. We all say, now I just want to read book 1. J.K. Rowling did such an excellent world building that all of us fans constantly read or listen to Harry Potter on a loop. Honestly, yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at it. Because not only have I read book 1 the most, but I think it's part of the reason I remember it the most and remember the things that are in it and just want to go back and read it. And I've never really thought about it that way before, but like she said, you said it, and then now she said it again, that like it was simpler. Yeah. It was happy. It was magical. Who wouldn't want to relive that?
You're just going to end up back at this book.
If you give a mouse a cookie,
it'll eat the cookie every time.
I love chapter 37. It might be my favorite chapter in the series. Wow. Favorite chapter in the series. That's 37 was the Lost Prophecy.
Yeah. That's a harsh chapter to be your favorite.
Says, yes, there's a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
But you also find out how much Dumbledore has always cared. I love the raw emotion of the chapter as well. Harry saying he doesn't want to be human, and the chapter before that saying he wants it all just to end is so heartbreaking. But it adds so much rawness to his character. As someone who has experienced a dying parent, or a parent dying, I can't even imagine losing every parental person you have. So hard. Fudge calling Voldemort Lord Thingy was the worst. If I were Voldemort, I would not stand for that. It's showing less respect than just calling him Voldemort.
But is it less than just calling him Tom? The answer is no.
Yep. Yeah. Question. Is dandelion juice popular in Europe? I had to look it up to see if it's actually a thing or just made up. And it is real. And it looks like it would taste pretty earthy.
Yeah.
So I can't speak for dandelion juice in Europe at all, but like I do know around the world at least. I mean, not so much in America because we Americans, we think of dandelions as weeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't care to eat them or anything like that. But I know in other countries that they do eat them.
Right.
And like they are an edible plant. I can't say that I've really heard of dandelion juice so much. I think you'd need an awful lot of dandelions to get any drinkable amount of juice. But I mean that being said, they are plentiful.
Yeah. They also you can make juice out of wheatgrass, which takes a lot of wheatgrass to mulch down into some sort of juice. So it's not crazy.
So yeah, is it popular? I don't know. Maybe it is. It could be. But I think it's definitely more common, at least, than it is here in America. So
yeah.
Anybody that knows, I know we have our international audience. Is dandelion juice something you could buy in a grocery store? That's the question I have.
It strikes me as something that, yeah, it's probably a real thing, but if Hagrid's drinking it and serving it up, it's probably not the norm.
Exactly. Like that's kind of what I thought about. It's like the other thing we've talked about with Hagrid in particular was the stoat sandwiches.
Yeah.
Basically weasel sandwiches.
Right.
Like, yeah, who's eating? Sure, you could eat that, but I think that's about the same as eating a squirrel. Yeah, you can eat it, but people don't really do it.
Yeah. That's how I see it. So.
Yeah.
Like if he had said, if they had described, Hagrid serving up some pumpkin juice for him, wouldn't have even batted an eye. But I was like, dandelion juice. Yeah, that sounds like a Hagrid thing.
Let's see. Next email then comes from Masha.
Hi, Masha.
Dear Josh and Matt, 3 chapters. The podcast could get long, so I'll keep it short. Thank you.
Yeah.
Last week was quite emotional for me due to the podcast. You two talking about chapter 35, then the listener emails were so intense. Thank you, everyone, for that. There was some intense posting on social media as well, and a couple of tweets that actually had me tearing up. And today, I see this tweet of Josh to J.K. Rowling. What a tough read Order of the Phoenix is, and then J.K.'s answer. Josh, you suffer a lot right now, so I think that the special support is well deserved. I'm almost not jealous.
It was for us, Masha.
Yeah. Next email comes in from Deborah.
Hi, Deborah. That sounds like a new name.
Kind of, yeah. This is another one of the Nemus.
Mm-hmm. You promised the whole clan, so.
Dear Matt and Josh, I'm a Ravenclaw and the proud mother of the 2 diehard Harry Potter fans, Ashley and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard from quite regular. Actually, Ashley was our winner tonight. And, Caitlin email got earlier.
Caitlin's one that abandoned us.
Yeah. Flying off to Africa to, like, help people.
I need you, Caitlin.
Anyway, Ashley and Caitlin, who got me hooked on your podcast. At last, I finally caught up and joined the ranks of those who are forced to wait between episodes.
You gotta say it like it's a punishment.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but you all know what's happening. You know what's coming next week.
Anyway, I found this quite interesting, actually. I'm a fiction editor, and I enjoy hearing your thoughts on the books, as well as those of other listeners. I like how you both notice and comment on JK's writing technique, whether it's to depict a drowsy divination class, or Lee Jordan's Quidditch commentary, or the gut punch of a favorite character's death. You've picked up on how cleverly JK sets up elements that will come into play into the story later, and that she wouldn't kill off a main character off stage. Josh and many of the other listeners have noted some issues with pacing and repetition in Order of the Phoenix. By the time this book came out, the series was so successful that it's very possible that not much content editing was done with the manuscript. Those flaws are certainly more obvious when the reader is reading only a few chapters a week, because otherwise it's a brilliantly written book. And that right there, that makes me wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that seems like the perfect explanation. Why things drag on so much, why they're so long-winded, why this is the longest book in the series. Because I would say, yeah, that was right around like book 4, book 5. That's where everything really exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just trying to push the books out the door as fast as they could.
Sure.
So, like, it's one of those, all the pieces fit into that solution so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's like, is that what happened? I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. So, finally, I love how open Josh is about how the story events affect him emotionally. He is always so authentic, except when baiting us about his newfound love for Rita Skeeter. And this quality, along with the unique premise and Matt's skilled guidance, makes this podcast very addictive. Thank you both.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening. And thank you for raising some amazing children.
Yes. We appreciate them.
Well, I mean, at least one that hasn't left us. So
You're not going to let that go, are you?
Nah. When she hears this, she'll just,
Yeah. She'll send an email. We'll get it 3 weeks later. And yeah, we'll have...
Matt, I got to have fun with something here.
Okay, I'll fine.
Okay.
Let's see. Next email from our headmistress, Marissa.
Hi, Marissa.
Says, hi guys. Lots of heavy stuff to cover this week, so let's get to it. Well, everyone is feeling bad for Harry. Don't get me wrong, I do. I feel terrible for Lupin.
Mm-hmm.
He already has lost his two best friends when another friend betrayed them, and now Sirius is gone. I don't think it gets talked about enough. He does get a raw jail in life, on top of already being a werewolf. It is rough. I love the duel between Voldy and Dumbledore. Dumbledore has some good advice in this chapter as well, such as there are more terrible things than death, which echoes a sentiment from the first book. And calling him Tom, that's just savage. The possession of Harry always creeps me out a bit. Is that how it felt for Ginny when she was possessed? I can't imagine it was, but we never got any description from Ginny about how possession felt, except for missing chunks of time. Yeah. Sorry. For some reason, this email has got stretched in my browser, and it's hard to piece together.
I'm like,
No. So yeah, it makes me think all the things going on in our world where someone decides they have to have a right to do what they want with someone else's body, and it makes me sick. Fudge finally gets it. And it's called the Death Chamber? That's kind of creepy.
yeah,
Why would they have a chamber dedicated to death?
it's a mystery.
Yes, there's the right answer, Josh. But I don't think it's so much that they have a chamber dedicated to death, other than just what they put in the chamber is about death.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think the contents made it a death chamber.
Yes.
They didn't actively say, hey, we need a death chamber.
Yeah,
what could we
we
bring
might
in
create a
here to
death
make
chamber,
this
yeah.
horrible?
But it just goes back to that, like, death is a mystery. Like, we don't have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
We can't talk to the dead people, so we don't have all the answers. Like, I kind of like, we get into like death is a mystery, love is a mystery. Like those are the things that they're kind of studying down here in the Department of Mysteries.
Yeah.
It's things that we don't have all the answers to. The whole discussion with Dumbledore is heartbreaking. Prophecy is being told that may not have meant Harry at all. Tom Riddle made the decision to pick which baby he would destroy. Then he was willing to do it at all shows just how horrid of a human he is, if you can even call him human at this point. Dumbledore gets a lot of flack for keeping things from Harry, and I don't disagree that it was a crappy thing to do, but it had to be the worst thing seeing this child that had gone through so much in such a short span of time, and know you would have to put another thing on his shoulders. It's not really an excuse, but I understand where Dumbledore is coming from. I often forget about the mirror scene and how devastating it is. And to know that he had the mirror since Christmas, there we go, and never bothered to open it. Heartbreaking for sure. I love Luna. She's such a pure soul, and I can't wait for Josh to meet her in the movie. I do love the end of this book. To have Malfoy and getting incapacitated, Ginny dating Dean, and the Order waiting to talk to the Dursleys at the station. It's all good stuff. Hopefully Harry won't have to be with his family for too long. And reading Josh's notes broke my heart. The silver lining is he got a reply from JK herself on Twitter. That was pretty amazing, and I am so jealous. Told you.
Yeah.
Personal note, I believe you read that one of your listeners was going to be a sign language interpreter. Both of my boyfriend's parents are deaf, and he's been teaching me to sign, and I find it fascinating. I just wish I had taken it as a language in college instead of opting for a psychology minor. Hindsight is 20/20 though, and I didn't start dating him until I was out of college. Attached below is a picture of my view this week while she's on vacation, while reading on the deck of our rented beach house. It was sunny earlier, but I was enjoying the sun at the time. So you can all get to live vicariously through our headmistress.
Vacationing.
Vacationing on the beach without us.
You finish a book and she's like, I'm out of here. Done.
Yeah.
Break time. Yeah, that looks horrible. I never want to go there.
All right. Next email from the other Katie.
Other Katie.
Says, aloha, Matt and Josh. First, sorry for not sending an email last week. I couldn't figure out what to say, and by the time I had my thoughts sorted out, it was much too late. The end of the book has always been hard for me emotionally, which is one of the many reasons I love it so much. I just have a few thoughts about the Department of Mysteries. Those brains that attacked Ron and then tried to attack Harry are extremely creepy. What is the purpose of the veil? If it's a doorway to death, does the doorway work both ways? I think about this a lot.
It's a one-way veil.
It's hard to say. It's a mystery.
Yeah, it is.
The battle in a ministry is so cool. I love how well J.K. writes these scenes. Bellatrix is terrifying. She's completely unhinged, and her love for Voldy is both epic and horrifying. I've never been able to figure out how I feel about Harry trying to use Crucio against Bellatrix. Yeah, it can be conflicting. Yeah, he's supposed to be the good guy, but I also have mixed thoughts about the statues saving Harry. I know they're just statues, but I still feel bad that they get blown to bits. I'm sure Dumbledore can fix it.
Yeah.
Dumbledore versus Voldy is the coolest fight ever. When Dumbledore tells Voldy that there exists something worse than death, I was paused to think about it. I'm sure there are things that are worse than death for those who survive, but for the one who dies, death is usually so final that isn't that the worst thing? This is another thing I think about a lot. Remember when Harry thought that maybe he'd been possessed in the earlier book? Well, now he knows how that feels.
Yeah.
Oh, fudge. I don't have much else to say about this. I really dislike Fudge.
Yep.
When Dumbledore says, I'm going to tell you everything, I get chills. Every time.
Yeah.
We learn that there is another real prophecy, and it's a doozy. Trelawney really outdid herself on that one. I'm always surprised to remember that Neville could have been the chosen one. I've always had a harder time dealing with Harry's grief rather than the fact that Sirius died. I had a very similar reaction during the fourth book after the death of Cedric. I think this is because Harry's grief is so similar to grief I experienced about a year after I read this for the first time. My best friend's mom, my auntie, passed away very suddenly when I was 13. I remember rereading The Order of the Phoenix soon after, and the way Harry reacts to Sirius's death is similar to how my best friend, and to an extent myself, reacted. We've said that time and again. J.K. just captures emotions like that so well.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's from her own experiences or others, whatever she does, whatever her inspiration, like, just writes it so well.
It's all relatable.
Yep. When Harry tries to contact Sirius in the mirror and when he runs to find Nick, I always get real emotional. Harry and Luna's friendship means the world to me. Luna is such a pure soul, and I genuinely appreciate her and all she does for Harry. We get the wrap up with Cho. Yay, it's ended. And learn more about Ginny and her dating habits. I'm all for this Dean Thomas thing, by the way. But Ron continues to be reliably shallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
One last mention of the giant squid and a bonus mention of Hermione's parents. And the squad is here to protect Harry. See you in the next book. It's my favorite.
Okay. Better be.
All right. Next email from Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Says, hi, Josh, Matt. We're at the last 3 chapters. It may seem like ages to you, Josh, but it just seems like yesterday for me when I found out about the crazy cat lady's secret. Did you remember that was in this book, Josh?
Yeah, that sounds like it was years ago.
That's what I figured. Yeah, that was still in this book.
It's so long ago, I couldn't even remember her name at this point.
Seriously?
I couldn't tell you if I tried.
Oh, Mrs. Fig.
Oh, yeah. Nope. I would have sat here all night trying to think of that.
Oh. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
There is a question I have about recording. What time is this show recorded at? I've always wondered.
The latest we usually get started is about 8:30, 9 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Sometimes if I'm able to do earlier, we go a little bit earlier, but usually I have to get home from work, usually have to get dinner going for the family, for the kids. So sometimes we're able to start a little bit sooner, but at the latest, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah.
Which makes it a late night for Matt, but
it's true.
He signed up for this when we started.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, yeah, we are currently still recording right now. I know this is going to be a longer episode, and we got started a little bit later than usual.
Yeah.
But it's currently 2:36 a.m.
Yeah.
My time. So yeah, it's a late night.
When we talked about starting this podcast at the very beginning, that was one of the things I threw out there at the start was, how late are you able to stay up? Because I can't always guarantee early evenings for recording times. So
Yep.
Yep.
I'm flexible.
Time zones make it tricky sometimes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chapter 36, The Only One He Ever Feared. This is probably my favorite chapter name. But poor Harry. Rest in peace, Sirius. When Harry uses an unforgivable... Wow. I've never had that happen before. So, pulling back the curtain a little bit, I always have my phone sitting right here, right?
Uh-huh.
And apparently, when talking with a stuffed up nose, and you say, rest in peace, Sirius, it registers as, hey, Siri. And Siri wants to know what's going on. Yeah.
What is going on, Matt?
Yeah. Okay. So, when Harry uses an unforgivable curse on Bellatrix, it always makes me do a double take. I get that he's really upset, but still, they're the good guys here, right? Dumbledore and Voldemort's fight is amazing. Voldemort even possesses Harry. That would just be creepy. And finally, we get to see the whole wizarding world was wrong, and Harry was right. Fudge finally gets put in his place by Dumbledore, and you can say bye-bye to your most favorite professor, Josh, because it doesn't look like she's coming back.
We'll see.
All right. I did have one follow-up here. So I forgot to put this in my first email. When I was looking at Harry Potter stuff, I found some butterbeer products. One of them was butterbeer marshmallows. I'm not a marshmallow person, but I think I would like butterbeer marshmallows. I also found butterbeer donuts. They look delicious, and there's a picture below. Sadly, they're not available in a lot of places. there aren't any where you two live. However, I've discovered that I live near one of these places, and one day I'm going to check them out. I forgot to look at this picture. What is this? Oh, okay. This is something I've been meaning to share. So thank you, Ryan, for sending this in. I believe this was actually shared in one of our, must have been in the Slack chat room requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, I don't remember hearing that these are butterbeer flavored. Actually, I just remember them being like Harry Potter donuts. But what am I doing here? I want to send you this image. It's getting late. Can you tell?
Yeah, Matt. Getting excited about donuts. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah. All right. So sending you a picture of donuts. Butterbeer donuts. But they just got really clever with them too in the presentation. Like,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I would eat one of those right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of butterbeer stuff out there, and I haven't tried it all. I've tried like all the stuff at Universal,
Right.
but
so much good butterbeer flavors out there to experience.
yeah, I know there have been a couple other people who found been telling us about like butterbeer coffee, which still sounds gross. I don't care. It's still coffee.
Yeah.
And there was, I think someone else posted a picture about butterbeer that some, restaurant was serving or cafe or something was serving.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I still don't think any of them are as good as like the stuff you can get at the parks right now, but
yeah,
still
trying.
Yeah. Maybe they'll figure it out someday.
Yep. Oh man, movie night means butterbeer night, Matt.
It's true.
That's something to look forward to.
There you go. All right. Next email from Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Says, Dear Matt, Josh, I have to thank you for such an incredible episode last week. I'm still not totally caught up with all your episodes, but I jumped ahead to listen to that one.
Worth it.
I should be up to date in time for the start of book 6, thanks to the movie episode. Listening to Josh emote about his feelings about Sirius made for a special episode. Hearing how he knew Sirius was gone, truly gone, through the emotions in Val's reading made a lump even in my throat. It was a beautiful way to learn of such an awful loss. Honestly, I wasn't sure what Josh was going to think at the end of that chapter. Was Sirius hiding? Was he stuck? Had he turned into Crookshanks? Instead, we got raw emotion because Val couldn't help herself. And then neither could Josh. It was a powerful moment in podcasting. One of the reasons I think this is such a special podcast is that we get to experience someone's reactions for the first time through the Muggle's eyes. Even while also being able to analyze it through an impassioned expert on the show. And to hear others express their feelings too. What a great concept and what a fantastic community you have both forged. One thing that hits me every time is how I feel for these fictional characters in this series. And hearing Josh, a grown man, publicly explain his tears for a fictional character summed up what most of us feel when we experience Sirius's death alone in the privacy of our homes. As for a possible explanation for why we all care so much about these characters and this story, I give one. It's real for us. In time, Josh, perhaps you will come to understand that simple sentence more deeply than you could imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm there or close to it.
There were way too many. There were way too many dream sequences, even though they were arguably necessary to the plot. And there was far, far too little Dumbledore, my biggest complaint with this book. The Lost Prophecy chapter almost makes up for Dumbledore being MIA so much, as it's super long and super involved, with loads of mysteries being solved and launched at the same time. But it is just Dumbledore and Harry, page upon page of Dumbledore. I love this chapter, and it's one of my favorites in the whole series. That's the second person that says chapter 37 was their favorite in the whole series.
Yeah. Well, I think just because, like I said, it was the chapter that we had been building to the entire book. The constant, why isn't Dumbledore talking to me? Why won't Dumbledore tell me what's going on? Why won't Dumbledore just, help me out here? It was building and building and building, and everything kept getting in the way to try to distract us from the main goal. But the end of this marathon that we just did was Harry and Dumbledore talking.
Yeah.
So.
But the book is loaded with gems and Easter eggs, from Mundungus Fletcher cracking up with the twins at Grimmauld Place, to Remember My Last Petunia, and subsequent resolution to that giant mystery. Over the years, I'm happy to say I've come to really like this book, even as it remains one of my two least favorite. Experiencing your reaction to the book, including the frequent frustrations at the pacing and dawdling, and to Sirius's death, made me enjoy this book even more than usual, warts and all. Finally, congratulations on having JK reach out to you. That's something most of us have only dreamed of for years. And it only took you just over a year to make it happen. I'm especially envious right now, but it was well deserved. Her story finding new readers even after 20 years must be wonderful to her too. Again, great job to you both. And now we move on to the movie, and which I am sure Josh will just love. Not. And on to Half-Blood Prince, which, with the right attitude about it, I do think he will come to adore.
I also kind of secretly feel like JK looked at my tweet and said, how in the heck is this guy just now reading this book for the first time?
Well, she'll have to listen to the podcast to find out.
Hi, JK.
Now that would be amazing. if I ever get an email from JK, oof,
yeah,
I'm done.
Yeah, that'll just be the whole show, just that email.
All right. Next email from Emily.
Hi, Emily.
It says, dearest Josh and Matt, thoughts on the last episode. The first time through Sirius's death, I did stop. I was 11. I was slamming through the book at breakneck speed, absorbing every word, but I know I stopped, even if it was just for a moment. I hadn't lost someone by that age, so I don't think it affected me as much as someone who had. But reading it again this time, having lost so many since then, it was real this time. The Muggle's thick voice, talking about Sirius's death, and Val crying, breaks my heart. I'm not saying any more on that, or I'll start crying right now. I caught a nasty cold and have been sleeping most of the weekend, thus I didn't get to actually do the reading. But big hugs to you both.
Just skip it. You didn't miss much. You know how it ends.
You know what happens, yeah. All right. Short one here from Noah.
Hi, Noah.
It says the final few chapters of the fifth book are just devastating. Even now, I can't read this without taking so many. I need to stop crying, or I need to stop crying. I can't read or see breaks. You're not alone, and it's a hug all of us Potterheads can share. Things will get better. Things always get better.
Eventually, right?
Eventually. Next email from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hey guys, so quite a whirlwind of 24 hours, huh? Josh, I sent you an inbox not to read your Twitter replies, but I'm glad Matt reached out to you as well, and nothing was spoiled. I just love these last chapters to this book. It took a while to get to this point for me, but for me it was totally worth it. Can you believe you just read an 870-page book? And now the stage is set for my favorite book, Half-Blood Prince. I couldn't believe...
Isn't this the first book that Joe read? Didn't he start on book 6 or something wacky? Or is this the same Joe? I don't know.
Might be.
If this is the same Joe, Wrestler Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he say
this is definitely Wrestler Joe? Yes.
I think he watched all the movies, but he started reading the books completely out of order. Started one of the later ones, and then went. I don't know. There was some wacky order.
Yeah, read 5, then 1 through 4, and then back through.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
It's okay. I couldn't believe Harry used the Cruciatus Curse on Bellatrix. I mean, she totally deserved it, but this is the first time I can recall that a good guy used a spell like that. Voldemort showing up was cool and unexpected, but Dumbledore coming in to make the save was awesome. Two of the best wizards dueling it out. I thought the discussion back and forth between Voldemort and Dumbledore about Voldemort saying that Dumbledore did not want to kill him, and Dumbledore saying there are other ways to destroy a man was very interesting. I feel like this won't be the last time we see these two go at it. The scene in Dumbledore's office might be my favorite chapter in this book. There's third person. So much happens, which I'll spare the details because everyone read it, and he probably spoke about it already, but a few things stood out to me. I was taken aback by Harry's yelling at Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's ability to remain calm and let Harry process what he was feeling, even at the expense of everything in his office potentially being broken. I found it so sad watching Phineas's reaction to finding out that Sirius died. He pretended like he didn't really care for him all this time, but the way he skulked off to his other portrait to check if he was at Grimmauld Place, knowing he wouldn't find him there, hit me harder than I expected it to. Creature is a liar.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
I mean, that's probably his best quality.
Yeah. Snape actually did pick up on Harry's clues about Sirius, and Dumbledore told Harry that he trusts Snape, and he said that pretty emphatically. I enjoyed Dumbledore continuing to correct Harry to say Professor Snape. Trelawney gave the prophecy. She must not have much faith in Harry, considering she predicts his death each year. Crazy though. And now Harry knows the full prophecy. In the end, it's going to be Harry versus Voldemort, and only one can survive. Can't wait to hear Josh's thoughts on the prophecy, which by now I'm sure he shared.
Yeah.
I hope that little swamp monument that Flitwick left roped off at Hogwarts for the twins stays at Hogwarts forever. I hope so too. Man, I haven't heard the Dursleys' name in what feels like forever, and I kind of got bummed when I realized he had to go back for the summer with them. It was cool to see the DA stick together and get Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle as they tried to get Harry, and I'm glad to see Mad-Eye, Lupin, and Tonks there to greet Harry off the train. It was almost like we know Sirius is gone, but we're going to do everything in our power to try and fill that void, which was very sweet.
Yeah.
Hermione says something to the effect of, it hasn't really started yet. In that whole final chapter, I got a different feeling than previous years. I feel that they've really grown up. And with the normal school drama that they've gone through, for the most part, will be gone. And they're going to be focused on the war, which is a scary thing to think about considering how young everyone is. Who knows what next year is going to behold, but I can certainly foresee there being many more ups and downs to come.
Probably more downs than ups, let's be real. Unless a giant squid makes a amazing ascension to the top of the character charts.
You know he will. All right. Next email from Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
says, "Hi, Josh and Matt. My heart is even more broken, as it always is at the end of this book. Harry is grieving, and his pain is so real in these chapters that reading them causes me to feel the deep pain as well. A testament to J.K.'s writing. She really captures grief and despair. Harry accepting that Sirius is dead because Sirius had never kept him waiting before, has always risked everything for him, and now is not coming back, physically hurts to read. Who else can Harry say that about? Who else would risk everything for Harry in the way Sirius has? No one. This just sucks. There are no words for how much this sucks. Harry accepting death when the creature consumed him and wanting Dumbledore to kill him is heartbreaking. Death is nothing compared to this, and I'll see Sirius again. Stop the tears. I just can't."
Yeah.
I have so many choice words for Fudge and the Ministry. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep, it's a family podcast, or I would have addressed him more than I did.
I appreciate Dumbledore and his true levels of love and care for Harry. He is only human and prone to error. However, when he wields so much power as he seems to do without any checks on it, he needs to do more than just have good hindsight. I do love how he lets Harry smash up his office and then won't let Harry leave. It's an amazing Dumbledore moment and always makes me smile through the tears. And then the stupid mirror that is like a whole shaker of salt being ground into an open wound. I was angry at JK for a long time after this. Why add this on top of everything else? Harry's desperate attempts to contact Sirius, hoping to speak to him again, and then the crushing blows that follow when he knows that he can't, and hope is dashed. Gut-wrenching and painful. So many tears at this point. I dissolved into literal sobs. And I've always thought about that too a little bit, like why she includes all those things right at the end.
Yeah.
And I think she knew readers would have questions.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to reiterate, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's not coming back.
Yep.
I'm going to exhaust all your options. It's going to be painful for Harry. It's going to be painful for you. But I want to put this to rest.
Yeah. It allows you to... It's closure. Closure sucks. But it's important, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Did you just fall over in your chair, Matt?
I caught a cord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That you... I can see you over there with your like elbow up on your desk and you just like slipped off because you're falling asleep at the podcast.
Oh, no, I can't fall asleep.
You got this, Matt. We're all cheering you on.
Luna's chat with Harry is beautiful, though I get angry every time I read about the other students who take her things just because she's different. She is a treasure. Shame on them. That anti-bullying policy is definitely needed. Sooner the better. McGonagall's return, Umbridge's departure, Malfoy and his cronies getting cursed, and the Order having a chat with the Dursleys are the best things about the end of this book. Thank heavens for all these moments. I once claimed the fifth book as my favorite book. I would like to explain the reasons for that, because it's only partially true. The first is that it has a lot of amusing one-liners and world building, which I treasure as a fan of the series, and I hope you, Josh, will eventually appreciate as well. The second is because of the psychology of it. J.K. does an amazing job of writing complicated villains, creating complexity, and writing teenagers who are hormonal and dealing with trauma and grief. And the third reason is because of Sirius. We get the most of him in this book. Many of my most treasured Sirius moments exist in this book. Having him alive with Harry, being a godfather in any capacity is wonderful, but it is also bittersweet because we also lose him in this book. And that makes it incredibly hard for me to read as I get older, because it continually brings me back into that grief. So while I rank it high for all the reasons I listed, I can't call it my favorite book for the sake of enjoyment. I think that goes to the 6th book now. Tell you, book 6 is a good one.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you, Josh, for making it through. Now on to the movie. You'll need tissues, chocolate, butterbeer, and things to smash to release all your rage.
Butterbeer and chocolate will be happening.
Well, and then you can pull out those 5 boxes of tissues, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Next email from Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Says, hey guys. Well, Josh, congratulations on completing yet another book, which has definitely been the hardest to read so far. I've seen some of your tweets and the one to JK, and I have to agree that this is basically just as hard as last week's reading. Hearing how Harry was painfully grieving Sirius is heartbreaking. I just kept on reading to get through it, knowing it would eventually get better, and it will. I can't say I blame Harry for being angry with Dumbledore. Death and grief bring out many emotions, a primary one being anger. And then Dumbledore finally explains everything. I found myself going back and forth, being angry and feeling sorry for him. You can tell he clearly loves Harry as his own, which is why he stalled on being the bearer of bad news for so long. I felt angry, like Harry, because if he had known some of this, I definitely think things would have gone differently. On the other hand, who knows what Harry would have done with all that information? Despite feeling overwhelmingly bad for Harry and Dumbledore, I have to agree with Harry to place some of the blame on Snape. He knew all of this, yet still refused to teach Harry occlumency, because he saw the memories of his father. No matter what Dumbledore says, I feel that Snape should have put that aside to keep his promise to Dumbledore. This was a rough read, and I have to imagine this was rough to write for JK, which is why she's so spectacular. At least we were able to end this sad story with some hope. It sounds like the Order's threat to the Dursleys is going to make Harry's summer a little more bearable. I hope that gives you some piece of happiness, Josh.
I don't know. Dementors running around. It might not even be the Dursleys that he's, incredibly worried about the most. So we learned last book that there's more out in this world that make his life miserable.
Fair enough. Next email from our other headmistress, Mel B.
It's about time, Mel B.
Says, hi guys. My heart is torn out every time Sirius is mentioned in these chapters. Harry is just so lost and torn apart. JK conveys this so well. I actually didn't reread these chapters because I could not bear the heartache I feel every time I read them. But amongst all the sadness and grief from the loss of Sirius, we also learn much about Harry and who Harry is, how he is tied to Voldemort. It's all very interesting, and I can't wait to hear what Josh has to say about it. Also, Josh, no one knew they wanted to see a Vernon and Moody showdown, but we all needed it, and it is great. Sorry for the super short email, but I can't wait to get on to Half-Blood Prince.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, we got 2 more.
Okay.
This one comes from Brent.
Hi, Brent.
It says, Dear Matt and the Muggle, welcome to the end of this book. Matt, thank you for not dragging this out another week and letting us put this one to bed. Somewhere an angel just got its wings because of that. Muggle, I don't know what's wrong with all those people out there that say this book is their favorite. I just don't get it. Different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But as for me, and I think for you, don't let me put words in your mouth. This book resides at the bottom of my favorites list. I'm guessing for you, that's where it is right now too.
I don't know. I need to remove myself away from.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you time.
It's too close right now.
I gotta be honest though, I'm a little surprised that you're still in all the feels. I mean, I get it, but I'm surprised. For me, it was more like, oh, look, the return of angsty, angry Harry, who's moping and general PO'd at the world attitude really doesn't help the situation at all. The entirety of these last 2 chapters is something that Harry Potter fans needed. We needed Dumbledore to lay out the full truth to Harry and to us. And now that that's all out of the bag, the biggest question remains. Where do we go from here? Harry is back home at the Dursleys, but apparently he only needs to stay there like a week or so to keep the charm going. So what happens over the summer? Who or what is a half-blood prince that the title of the next book references? What does it mean that neither may live while the other survives? What if the prophecy really was about Neville? Is Dumbledore hiding anything else from Harry? What the heck is Crookshanks' deal anyway? Any thoughts of where the story goes from here?
Not yet, my friend. Not yet.
Pay attention for the next Muggle Theories.
Yeah.
Coming up in the next week or 2, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can give you one answer about where we go from here, and that's on to the movie, which I'll go ahead and spoil for you. Irony for me personally about this is that, well, this is my least favorite book in the series. It's my favorite movie, but more on that next week. See you during the live tweets of the movie. If you haven't yet, can you let us know exactly when you'll be watching so we can all synchronize our watches?
Wednesday, October 18th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Perfect. And finally, our last email from the one, the only, Atari Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And of course, on night when I'm having trouble reading, he sends in the longest email he's sent in a while. And of course, I haven't had a chance to read it ahead of time. So
you should probably just forward it over to me and just let me read it for you, Matt.
We got this.
Okay.
Dear Josh and Matt, in the spirit of this week's episode, I busted out the old crystal ball and have a prophecy for you. This week will be your first ever 4-hour-long podcast. Feel free to read that with a spooky voice.
Close.
It's very possible. I'm not sure exactly where we're. Well, actually, I kind of know where we are on time, but a couple of Sorry, Alex. There's something going on here.
Uh-oh.
A couple of the games I want to touch. Themes?
Themes?
A couple of themes, maybe?
Sure.
Sorry, autocorrected something awful to that. I'm sure it's not his fault. Anyway, a couple of themes I think I wanted to touch on from last week. First of all, I want to clarify that I never said Home Alone 3 was my favorite in the series. Only that it might be my favorite.
That's too close to even being actually what you said.
You shouldn't even left the possibility out there. No.
Sorry.
And also, I'm definitely still going to complain about the movie next week. You don't want to admit it, but I know you all secretly enjoy it. You do you, Alex.
Yeah.
On a more serious note, too soon?
Yes, it's too soon, Alex.
Still too soon.
If you have to write too soon, then it's too soon. You know it's too soon.
I want to thank Josh for his raw emotions on last week's episode. I said that Sirius's death has never had much of an emotional impact on me, but hearing the genuine pain Josh felt at the climactic moment got me a little choked up and made Sirius's death more real to me than ever before. Those heartfelt moments and gut-wrenching reactions are one of the many things that make your show so great. Hang in there, Josh. We're all here for you. So on to this week. We kick things off with some emotional drama. Then Harry chases Bellatrix and commits a felony, which, yeesh. It's super dark and out of character, but so much else happens in rapid succession afterwards that we never really get an explanation or justification or guilt or anything. I get that Harry is in a bad place right now, but this is the equivalent of poor Peter Parker waterboarding the dude who killed Uncle Ben. And I don't think anyone would make the argument that that would be okay. But here, it's just thrown out there, and there are no repercussions. I don't like it.
didn't really work very well. So I don't think it might have been a bigger deal if it actually succeeded. You know?
But
I get what he's saying.
I mean, that's almost like saying, okay, if someone shoots you and like hits you in the shoulder, I mean, if they were aiming for your heart or your head or whatever, like the intent was there.
I know. I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's all.
Yeah. After that, Voldemort shows up, and a super cool duel takes place between him and Dumbledore. One thing I've noticed while reading this time around, is that Dumbledore uses others to block the spell Voldemort sends at him. He enchants a couple of the statues to come to life and act as a shield, and then Fawkes comes and eats an Avada Kedavra, literally. Voldemort, meanwhile, summons an actual shield and just apparates a bunch. To get all deep and symbolic, I think this represents how Dumbledore believes in the power of teamwork and sacrifice in order to win, while Voldemort isolates himself from others and only looks out for himself. Or Dumbledore is secretly a sociopath who manipulates people into doing what he wants so that he can win at all costs, while Voldemort knows that when push comes to shove, the only person you can rely on is yourself. Or symbolism is just a construct made up by literary scholars to try and find a meaning where there isn't any. I think all three of these scenarios are equally plausible.
Yeah.
And to get meta on you, Alex, like the fact that you are... He just used symbolism like... never mind.
Yeah.
Analyzing literature,
just
telling me that it's made up. Oh, nah, too much. After the duel, Voldemort jets. Fudge is finally forced to face the truth and still looks like an idiot. Harry goes back to Hogwarts and there's a ton of exposition. Two key things from this part I want to single out. One, the prophecy/weapon is very underwhelming to me. I'm not sure what Voldemort was expecting to learn from hearing the rest of it, but I don't think that was it. Neither can live while the other survives. Okay, so it's going to end in a showdown between the two of them. I'm pretty sure that everyone reading the series expected that already, so I don't know why it felt like it's supposed to be a big reveal. As for why anyone thought it was a good idea to call the prophecy a weapon is beyond me. I suppose that, in a sense, information can be a weapon, but A, that's lame. And B, as I already stated, there wasn't really any information in the prophecy anyway. If you ask me, J.K. needed to make this book not feel like more filler than it already does. So she tried to set up something vague and ominous at the beginning of the book that she thought we would all forget about, but she didn't count on me and my tendency to overanalyze.
It's probably true. Sorry, Alex.
The other thing from this scene I want to point out is that I find it very odd that Harry doesn't cry at all. He yells and screams and breaks things, but it isn't until later in the next chapter that he finally breaks down with some tears. And even then, it's only a passing mention. Now, I'm not much of a crier because I'm devoid of all emotion, but I think that if I was 15 and had just experienced everything Harry had, I'd be weeping in Dumbledore's office pretty soon after they started talking. But hey, blind rage is a pretty good substitute too. When McGonagall shows back up, Snape seems oddly excited to see her. "Professor McGonagall," said Snape, striding forward. "Out of St. Mungo's, I see." Double exclamations? What's that about? This seems way out of character for him since he's always being snide or icy. I can't see Snape using exclamations for anything, especially McGonagall. Maybe he's secretly in love with her.
No, probably not.
Right before the chapter ends, Harry discovers the mirror Sirius gave him, which always just seemed like a kick in the nuts. The book doesn't outright say it, so it can be easy to overlook. But Harry could have used the mirror to try and talk to Sirius instead of the fire. Then they would have established that everything was fine and none of the bad stuff that happened afterwards would happen. But alas, Harry is too reckless for his own good, and now he's suffering for it. Final thought for this email. Throughout these last few chapters, Harry goes through four of the 5 stages of grief. Denial. After Sirius goes through the veil, he refuses to accept that he's gone, and that'll pop back up at any second. Anger. I mean, Harry's pretty much always angry, but he breaks a bunch of stuff and tries to cause Sirius's killer unbearable pain, which goes beyond the normal level of anger, in my opinion. Bargaining. Harry finds the mirror and thinks he'll be able to talk Sirius into life, talk to Sirius in the afterlife, but that doesn't work out. Then he goes to talk to Nick about Sirius coming back as a ghost, but that gets shot down too. Depression. He sits by a tree and stares at a lake and cries. Grieving depression is probably more prolonged than that. I'm pretty sure that also happens before the mirror business, but just roll with it. The final stage is, of course, acceptance. But healing takes time, even with magic. I'm sure I'm not the first peeps to have pointed this out, but I think it makes the story a little bit more relatable. Well, I'm sure I've overstayed my welcome and done my part in contributing to your 4-hour podcast, so I'll end it here. Look forward to me ripping the movie apart next week.
Bring it on, Alex.
We'll be waiting.
Yes. Thank you to everybody that wrote in this week, as always. Fantastic emails. Thank you for all the love and support. All around. You guys are awesome. The reason I put myself through this torture is for you guys. So, thank you, as always. One final thing. Next week we're going to be giving away something else fun and awesome and cool. Matt, what are we giving away next week?
Next week, we have another book release. For anyone that hasn't been paying attention, this is something we talked about many months ago when it was first announced, but it is now coming out on October 20th. So that's this week yet, I believe. We'll be giving away a copy of Harry Potter, A Journey Through a History of Magic.
That's right. This was something I completely forgot about because I'm not allowed to check it out until Matt does first. So, out of sight, out of mind type of thing.
Yep.
But next week on the movie episode, we will be giving away a new book. The irony is thick. How are we going to give this book away?
That's the question.
You may ask. I want everybody to write in an email. talesfromGardoxHollow@gmail.com. And I want you to let me know what your favorite movie snacks are. Just in general. Doesn't even have to be Harry Potter themed. What kind of snacks do you like to eat while watching movies? Whether it be at theaters, whether it be at home, whatever the case is. Let's have fun with it. Let's liven this podcast up a little bit, We're all going to be watching the movie. We'll be talking about it next week. So, what are your favorite movie snacks? Easy as that.
Awesome.
Okay. Just, I think people need like a mental cleanser before we move on. So, no homework necessary. No deep thoughts on favorite serious black memories or anything like that. It's just
lots of sugar.
Yeah, exactly. Or,
well,
savory.
I suppose not necessarily. Yeah.
So get those in. Again, reminder, we will definitely be posting this everywhere also, but Wednesday night, October 18th, 6:30 Pacific time, I will be watching Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix for the very first time. I will be live tweeting from our Twitter account, if it's safe for me to go on Twitter by then. Guess I didn't take that into consideration. At Tales
just
from
don't
GH.
don't look at your mentions.
Yeah, no, my personal account
can just tweet.
is it's done. R.I.P.
Yeah.
So at Tales from GH, follow along, and you can get live updates on how I feel about the movie as it's being played. Last time was fun. This time should be a doozy as well. Thank you everybody for an amazing show. Thank you to our new, brand new listener, JK. You're the best. Keep it up. We'll be in touch. We'll grab some dandelion juice or something one of these days. You could find me, I guess, if I might not respond to you for a while. Who knows? On Twitter, personally, at the noise with a Y. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter, of course, at Tales from GH. Follow the Instagram account, where if I continue to be blocked from Twitter, I will continue to converse with you guys over there. That's Tales from Godric's Hollow on Instagram. And the Facebook group, or not group, the Facebook page, facebook.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. And if you'd like to support us and everything that we're doing here for you guys, the best community, you could do so over at Patreon, patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. Matt, where can the people reach out and say hello to you at?
You can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Otherwise, as you all know, you're very good at doing. Each week, I think I get more emails. I don't know. I'm not complaining. I love it.
Yep.
I love getting emails from you guys, so keep it up. But whatever it is for the giveaways, you just want to talk to me about something, show me something fun, Harry Potter you found, spoiler or not, doesn't matter. Josh won't see it. So, talesfromgodric's@gmail.com.
Perfect. Everybody have fun watching the movie. If you want to watch along, do so, or at least pay attention to the tweets. But enjoy. Have a nice little refresher, visual palette cleanser, if you will, before we get into the 6th book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Yes.
You got it.
Next week we'll record our movie episode. Will we have a special guest or two? I don't know. Wait and find out. Until then, Muggle out. Eventually.
Mischief managed.